Season on the line, 4th and 11. Butka looking downfield, throwing, incomplete, broken up at the 10-yard line. And Old Bridge is headed to the NJSIAA Central Jersey Group 5 Championship game.
There's one in the flat. Good catch that time by Ransom. Ransom with a lot of room. And a good block by Delonzo down the field. And Ransom is gone. 57 yards to the house. 2-2.
Swung out and miss. Strike 3. St. James Smithtown has done it. They are the 2025 New York State Little League Baseball Tournament champions.
Drops back, throws all the way to his right. Has a man down the field, and he's got him! First play of the drive, touchdown, New York Green Wave!
Seinäjoki season on the line. Goal to go from the 2. Kyles looks to run with it. Pitches it to Sip. He grabs it. He's in for the touchdown.
The final 25, and they're neck and neck. Kane looks like they have just a dash of a lead. Salisbury taking first. What a race. From Wirokit Stadium in Seinäjoki, Finland, PDF Sports Network is proud to welcome you into coverage of the Vaahteraliiga, the top American football league in Finland, for our PDF Game of the Week. It is Week 10 of the Maple League season, and for the first time, the Kuopio Steelers come into a game week in first place and in control of their own destiny for the league's regular season championship. The team they took first place from, the Seinäjoki Crocodiles, will look to wrestle it back in a battle between playoff-bound teams. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Pizzuto, alongside my partner Joseph Foreman. And Joe, it's back to a top-of-the-table tilt for us, a playoff preview perhaps, and with it a regular season title potentially on the line.
And Dave, it really is remarkable how dramatically the outlook for the top 4 teams in the standings and the bottom 3 teams in the standings have shifted in just 2 weeks' time. A couple of weeks back, when we covered the game between the Roosters and the Giants, every team was alive in the hunt for a playoff spot, and the Giants were just minutes away from inserting themselves back into the conversation with a win over the Roosters. Helsinki stole that game in the fourth quarter, ended East City's season, and then dealt a critical blow to Vaasa last week. The Royals were then officially eliminated with a loss to the Butchers earlier today, and the Saints were eliminated after losing to the Roosters yesterday. That leaves us with 4 teams vying for home field advantage come the postseason, and our game here tonight will have a massive impact on where these teams end up.
Right, Joe, and these 2 teams have been at the top of the standings just about the entire way, but the distinction of the hottest team in the league belongs to the team currently in a tie for first place, the Kuopio Steelers. They've done it with 4 straight wins now, and perhaps none as impressive as their first victory of the season in a game decided by a single score, a 35-33 win over Seinäjoki last week at home. What has sparked this turnaround following a 2-2 start?
We spoke about the turnover at the quarterback position around the league during our game last week, and I think that one reason for the Kuopio turnaround is this offense really beginning to find its rhythm around the week 4 mark. We got to look at the Steelers early in the season when they dealt the Roosters their 3rd straight loss in week 3, and it certainly took some time, about a full half of football to be exact in that game, and that's when this Steelers team really got going offensively against the Roosters. However, once they did get going, a well-balanced and dynamic offense led by Slane Jarman and Joshua Mack helped them secure that win over Helsinki. Then defensively, a group that boasts the league's 2nd leading tackler and pass interceptor in Lars Steffen has been very good since week 2 in terms of points allowed, the lone exception being the final 2 minutes of their loss to the Butchers. In terms of yards per game, only the Giants have allowed more than Kuopio so far this year. However, they've managed to offset that with the league's 2nd best turnover margin. The Steelers have been steadily on the rise since the 2-2 start, and in just a minute we'll talk a bit more about a Seinäjoki team that is trending in the other direction since winning their first 4 games.
Joe, we've had a chance to see Seinäjoki a pair of times this season, and we came away impressed each time. They started the season a blistering 4-0, a stretch that included a gritty win over the Roosters on their opening day, and a big road overtime win that we covered against the Butchers. At the time, the Butchers' first loss in almost 2 calendar years, but they've since lost 2 out of 3 and have fallen out of favor in the standings. Right now, they're positioned at number 3. And as you mentioned, it's forced them into a must-win scenario if they want a chance to get the number 1 seed back, and even if they want to stay in contention for a number 2 seed and that elusive first-round home playoff game.
When we came on the air for Week 5, I distinctly remember us saying that we haven't seen anything through the first month of the season that would have led us to believe that Seinäjoki is not the top team in the league. And since that time, they've gone 1-2, as you just mentioned. I'm inclined to give them a pass for their loss to the Butchers in a game that was sloppy and rain-soaked, but they did lose that game at home while scoring what was by far a season-low 7 points. They took care of business against the Royals the following week and lost a close one to Kuopio on the road last week. Mathematically, they are alive for the 1 seed, but the likely ceiling is going to be the 2 seed at this point, unless they win by multiple scores today. That being said, I think it's a big mistake to write off Seinäjoki and look past them as a serious Maple Bowl contender come playoff time. This Crocodiles team has all the components of a winner. They have a mobile quarterback in Christopher Fowler who can operate both inside and outside of the pocket, anchoring the league's top passing game. Top target Mauricio Portia also leads the league in catches, and the Seinäjoki ground game does average over 100 yards per game as well. Defensively, they allow the fewest yards per game in the league, and they are by far the least penalized of the playoff teams, to go along with a pass defense that is the best in the league by a significant margin. My takeaway is that when you look at the numbers outside the context of wins and losses, you could still make the case that the Crocodiles have been the best team in the league this year.
Joe, like you mentioned, it was only a couple of weeks ago where we said that every team was still in contention for a playoff spot. That is no longer the case with the playoff teams all set and locked up. So now it's really just a question of seeding and who gets that all-important first-round home game. We have some monster games on our schedule these next couple of weeks that bring it all into focus. But let's look first at the playoff implications of this game for both teams, followed by what we have the rest of the way.
You see the playoff implications of this one up on the screen. The Steelers, with a win, will lock in a first-round home game, and they could clinch the number 1 seed with a win next week. The Crocodiles are still in play for the top seed if they win. They may need some help down the line. When you look at next week's schedule, there really is no avoiding the fact that one game stands out above the rest, and that's our game of the week between the Steelers and the Butchers. If the other 2 games on next week's schedule look anything like the first meeting between each pair of teams, the Crocodiles and the Roosters are both heavily favored to win those. And having won earlier today, and by virtue of their head-to-head win against the Steelers, the Butchers currently sit in first place. However, the Steelers do control their own destiny when it comes to securing the top seed, and they don't necessarily need to win tonight if they defeat the Butchers next week. But the Crocodiles will be right back in the mix for a top 2 seed with a victory this evening, as we saw before. If Seinäjoki loses, they are out of contention for the top seed and very likely out of contention to host a first-round home game unless the Butchers drop back-to-back games to end their season. What you don't see on your screen is that Porvoo faces Tampere in their final game, so barring a major upset, we wouldn't expect the Butchers to lose more than 3 games. And not to be lost in all of this is a Roosters team that has won 5 straight. They are still very much alive for a top 2 seed ahead of their matchup with the Saints next week. And if the Steelers lose each of their next 2 games, Helsinki could very well be battling Seinäjoki for the number 2 seed in the final game of the regular season. There is also the potential for a scenario where the Steelers win the next 2 weeks and the Roosters win out. That would tie them with Porvoo for second place. In this case, Helsinki wins the head-to-head tiebreaker to take over the number 2 seed. Steelers go 1-1 in their next 2 games. We are likely headed for a 3-way tie, at which point anything can happen. Any one of these 4 teams still in contention for a playoff spot. The 4 teams that have clinched can finish in any of the 4 playoff positions, is sure to make for an exciting final 2 weeks of the regular season.
Absolutely, Joe, and perhaps this one here is a semifinal preview again, or maybe it's a championship preview. Either way, 2 playoff teams looking to step into the second season on a high and playing their best football is what is on deck for us in their second of 2 meetings. We will take a break. When we come back, Joe will give us his keys to the game, and we will kick off from Seinäjoki. It's the 6-2 Kuopio Steelers against the 5-2 Seinäjoki Crocodiles with kickoff coming up next.
The PDF Sports Network is officially seeking sponsors for the 2026 Vaahteraliiga season. The Vaahteraliiga is the top professional American football league in Finland, and now, for the first time, is available in the English language and in the U.S., courtesy of PDF. Join us as we make history by showcasing the Maple League to a new worldwide audience. Our partnership with the Vaahteraliiga was recently featured in International Business Journal as a groundbreaking venture that in 2025 earned us a Global Recognition Award and a GHP Magazine Award for Best Local Live Broadcasting in the nation. It's time to bring our coverage to the next level and showcase your products and business to local and international audiences. Show your support now by calling us at 732-723-8189 or by emailing pdfsportsnet@gmail.com. Attention local businesses and professionals. Isn't it time to elevate your game? Now you can advertise your business or product on PDF Sports Network. Your ad will appear on all of our broadcasts, including this one. Don't have a commercial? We'll make one for you, absolutely free. What better way to showcase your product and brand while supporting the best local sports, teams, and leagues? Call now at 732-723-8189 or visit us at pdfsportsnet.com.
Burgers are better at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
My weekend starts with the Brownstone burger, topped with cheddar, barbecue sauce, and a fried egg.
Give me the Hawaiian burger. I love the Canadian bacon and sweet pineapple.
How do you like your salads? Shrimp, chicken, beef?
Stop in and see why families are eating good at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
Refined, restorative, results-driven. At CMX iMed Bar, we blend medicine, aesthetics, and wellness into one luxury experience, led by Dr. Angela Roque. Located in the heart of Pier Village, Long Branch. Visit cmximedbar.com or text 9089-232-694 to look better, feel better, live elevated.
We are back here from Seinäjoki, Finland, where the Crocodiles are looking to get even with Kuopio this season in their head-to-head matchups. They met last week, a Kuopio 35-33 win. We're getting set for kickoff. Seinäjoki will kick off first to Kuopio. So, Joe, why don't we go over your keys to the game real quick? Might as well start with the visiting Steelers since we'll see them on offense first.
Well, for me, defensively for the Steelers, they have to start with taking away Mauricio Portia in the passing game. Christopher Fowler, 144 completions this year. 57 of those have gone to Portia. This should force Seinäjoki to run the ball a bit more and perhaps keep them a bit more one-dimensional. If you're the Steelers offensively, look to establish the run. Joshua Mack, 7.3 yards per carry this season. And Seinäjoki's pass defense, by far the best in the league, leading through the air, will be tough. Establish that ground game. And finally, if you're the Steelers, you have to clean up the penalties. They are by far the most penalized team in the league this year. For Seinäjoki, you have to slow down Joshua Mack and his 7.3 yards per carry. Kuopio is a strong passing attack, but keeping the ball in the air plays to the strength of your defense if you're the Crocs. Keep the Steelers guessing in the ground game. No Crocodiles ball carrier has more than 4 yards per carry. Of those that have run more than 5 times this year, the Giants are the only team that allows more yards per game than the Steelers. You have to find ways to stay balanced offensively if you're Seinäjoki. And finally, you have to get to the quarterback if you're the Crocodiles. We know the Crocs have one of the league's premier pass rushers in Charles Acano, but they are still outside of the top 4 in sacks. You will need to pressure Slade Jarman if you're going to benefit in any way from taking Joshua Mack out of the game. Getting to the quarterback can do that and put some pressure on this Steelers offense to make big plays.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time offline as well. The ability to get to the quarterback, get past pressure, and set up the run game are two of these staples here for a lot of these teams in the Maple League, and it certainly will be for both of these teams here tonight. We are just about set to get going here. Etu Makimaunis will be the kickoff specialist here for Seinäjoki to get us started. We'll see Kuopio on offense first. Again, a 35-33 winner last week on their home field against this same Seinäjoki team. This one is buried towards the corner, but will travel out of bounds, and so we'll have a procedural penalty here to start the game. And unless Kuopio elects to have them kick off again, they'll get the ball in pretty favorable field position here, but it looks like they will kick again from 5 yards deeper.
Yeah, this one wasn't necessarily that close, almost leading me to believe they might have been conceding the yardage if the Steelers were willing to take it. That one went out of bounds well short of the end zone, did not get inside the 5-yard line before skipping out of bounds. So that always begs the question to me as to whether or not it was intentional to kick it out of bounds. And it doesn't really matter now because the Crocodiles will be forced to kick again. The Steelers want an opportunity to return it.
Yeah, you know, statistically, these kickoffs that go out of bounds don't count as penalties, even though you see the yellow flag. But we mentioned that Seinäjoki, one of the least penalized teams in the league, Kuopio, one of the heaviest penalized teams in the league, and that will play a factor in a game like this, as they most often do. But here we go, round 2 of the opening kickoff here. It is buried, and it ends up at about the 12-yard line, and that's where Kuopio will take it. It's the aforementioned Joshua Mack, who's going from left to right and gains a little bit of the outside before he's spilled short of the 25-yard line. So that's where Kuopio will start, 1st and 10 at their own 24.
A lot of east to west on that return for Mack. He was probing the entire way across the field, looking for a lane to cut it upfield, but Seinäjoki, very disciplined, did not overcommit to any one lane in kick coverage, and Mack never got the opportunity to turn it upfield and make anything more of that return. The Steelers don't even get this return back to the 25-yard line. Probably were much better off taking the penalty.
Much better off. It was only a return of 12 on the kickoff return. And they set up actually at the 23-yard line, and Jarman will hand it off underneath, but a swarm of green to meet Mack in the backfield. Puts him down 2 yards shy of the line of scrimmage, so we're going to get a 2nd and 12, make it a 2nd and 11 here as the 1-yard loss for Mack on the game's opening play.
When you see this on the first play of the game, you have to think the Crocodiles are committed to stopping the run. 2 defenders creeping up to the line of scrimmage pre-snap. They appear to be selling out on the handoff for that first down snap. They got it, and they stopped Mack behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of a yard.
7.3 yards per carry this season for Joshua Mack. He goes for -1 on the first play of the game. Jarman fumbled the shotgun snap a little bit, but was able to get it out in the direction, however, incomplete to the wide receiver Karkanen. So Oliver Karkanen is the first target for Jarman, but they're going to be stuck with a 3rd and long here to open up.
Well, after the first down snap sees a running play blown up, they try and complete a short, quick pass, and there was an opening there. But I think that the leaping Charles Acano altered that throw. He got a hand up. I think Jarman did realize he was there, tried to elevate it over him, and instead missed his receiver out of bounds. 3rd and long coming up for the Steelers.
3rd and long, and a quick count. Jarman looks to his left first, middle of the field, and coming back to it, making the catch was Karkanen, and he is going to have a first down. It's right at the sticks, but they are going to move it ahead. So they needed 11, got 11 and a half on third down, and Kuopio has the game's first down.
Well, as we mentioned during the pregame, Dave, Seinäjoki's defense in the air, one of the best in the league. That time they show pressure at the line of scrimmage. They come, and in a collapsing pocket, Jarman able to deliver a strike into the open space over the middle. A big third down conversion, and a good start there for the Steelers' passing game.
Almost better that Jarman kind of short-armed that a little bit as Mack goes up ahead and plows forward for about 2 yards before he's met by Akano. And lending some help there was Michael Cosisto as well. Gain of 1, 2nd and 9.
Once again, the Steelers run it on first down. The Crocodiles, not quite as many bodies around the line of scrimmage on that handoff, but they did well to stop that run before it could go anywhere. A short gain, and you'll take 2nd and 8 all night long if you're the Seinäjoki defense.
Yep, close to a 2-yard gain. So 2nd down and 8. Jarman again working out of the shotgun. Again, a quick look to the left. He bounces it out to Mack again in the flat, but a great open field tackle and more green jerseys there to meet Mack after a loss of 2 yards. And we're going back to a 3rd and double digits, 3rd and 10.
Well, this play is very largely dependent on Isaac Marshall's ability to pick up a block on the outside. Both he and Joshua Mack are top 4 in the league in touchdowns. That time Marshall just couldn't hold that block long enough to give Mack any chance. It's a loss of 2, and once again it's 3rd and long for this Kuopio offense.
Great job by Artu Tapola as well with the open field tackle there. Mack there, getting it out left side, slowed up originally and is going to be held well short of the first down. Again, a good job by Tapola to trip up Mack before it looked like Jallo finished him off at the 40-yard line. So we're looking at a 4th and 4 now. And we haven't seen yet the punt team come in. It looks like Jarman is staying out there.
Well, this is a very interesting play call, and to go for it here would be a very interesting decision this early in the game. But you said it, Dave. The Kuopio offense is going to stay out on the field, and based on that last play call, I'm not overly surprised.
They indeed will snap it again. Jarman racing out to his left, looking for some positioning. A great ball, and it's incomplete as unable to come down with it was Nicholas Kuika. That ball was put on Kuika. I'm not sure if that was just a good defensive play to break it up, Joe, or Kuika just couldn't come down with it clean.
This is a great ball, Dave. It's better coverage because that ball is in Kuika's hands, and he had it knocked away at the last possible moment by Panu Hutu. And that is a huge play as the Steelers turn it over on downs. And Dave, the play call on 3rd led me to believe, okay, maybe they're considering going for this, but boy, is that an aggressive call early in the game. Here's one more look at the back end as that ball was jarred loose.
Yeah, and it looked like Kuika was going to have a tough time bringing that down in bounds. He was racing towards that ball on the sideline. I think he would have ran out of real estate, and I think even if he had come down with that, he's probably going to be ruled out of bounds on the catch. But still, a nice job by Hutu, like you mentioned, to get to that, break it up as well to finish off the play. Yeah, he would have gotten the 1 foot down.
If he grabbed it cleanly out of the air without juggling, he had the 1 foot, but that's perfect coverage. And it was a great ball just to give him a chance because I thought they had nothing.
So a turnover on downs after picking up 1 first down. Kuopio gives the ball up, and Seinäjoki will start things off on the ground, and going ahead for 3 yards on the play was Artu Blomqvist. We'll set up a 2nd and 7.
Well, the Crocodiles have a lot of players who have carried the ball this year, including Blomqvist and, of course, their quarterback, Christopher Fowler. But as I mentioned during the pregame, no ball carrier who has had more than 5 rushing attempts for the Crocodiles is averaging more than 4 yards per carry. I think their running game relies a lot more on deception.
Blomqvist was able to make one guy miss in the backfield, but that's only going to go for a gain of 1 on the play. So it will set up a 3rd and 6, a long 5, short 6 coming up. And so now Seinäjoki will have to dig a little deeper in the playbook here, and perhaps we'll see Fowler put one up in the air.
Off the turnover on downs. How about that? Seinäjoki runs it on first down. They got to the line very quickly for 2nd down and tried to run it again. The Steelers up to the task, and immediately it's 3rd and 6.
Looks like press coverage here on Porsche, who you mentioned is a big target at the bottom of your screen. Fowler looks in his direction now towards the pylon, and that one is in between a pair of defenders. He was looking in the direction of Porsche. It'll be 4th down and 6.
And that's just a bad read, Dave. They had an easy first down on the other side of the field. Quick out route, a short pitch and catch, easy completion. It was wide open. They didn't see it. And not only was it a first down, that might have gone for way more. With good blocking, it could have become a touchdown.
Yeah, I just saw the replay in real time on the YouTube feed, and you're absolutely right. That would have been an easy first down. And maybe that's in the I was going to say maybe it's in the back pocket of Fowler on this play, but no, they will punt here, and we'll have a flag first. I think there was 12 in the huddle there for Seinäjoki, indeed. So they'll back up, Dave, 5 yards.
I can't fathom punting here. Now you probably would on 4th and 11, but on 4th and 6, that would be shocking.
Yeah, and unless you can bury this in the corner and make sure this ball goes inside the 5, you're only conceding about 15 yards if this ends up being a touchback. 20 now. But, yeah, I was with you there. I was very surprised that Seinäjoki was punting on that play, but field position game will be important. And it'll result in a 3-and-out for Seinäjoki.
What an interesting start to this game.
And letting loose and line drive bomb. We'll see where they say this one went out of bounds.
Good,
but
Dave.
Job well done. As burying it at the 3 was Maki Maunis. And so the decision pays off. 38-yard punt, no return, and Kuopio have to start from their own 3.
Well, you'll certainly take this if you're the Crocodiles. I think the sting of that 3rd down play lessened a bit with this kick, but it almost seemed to me like Fowler looked off the intended throw to Porsche without ever making a read on that left side of the field, because if he looks at his receiver, they had the first down, they elect to punt following the flag, it pays off, Steelers backed up in their own end zone.
Seinäjoki shows run blitz, they come after it, instead the pass over to Kawika on the far side, he clears the 10, gets to the 11, it'll be 2nd down and 2, and so out of the shadows of their own goalpost, the Kuopio Steelers get it past the 10.
That's another gutsy play call right there. Play action out of your own end zone in the gun. The Crocodiles sent 6, and Jarman has no problem getting that throw off to Kawika, who picks up 8 yards and affords his team much-needed breathing room.
You know, especially the way the Crocodiles attacked Mack on the opening drive. Kind of understand it, too, as he went backwards for a couple of plays. There's a fake again, and the play action on the quick slant. That's a first down as the pass is complete. Try to pick up a number here on the pass catcher. I thought it was
Marshall.
It was Marshall, yeah. I thought it was 25 at first. Instead, it's number 20, Isaac Marshall. And that moves the sticks for Kuopio's 2nd first down, and they're out past the 20 now to the 23.
I'm not sure how good your memory is, but when we saw this Steelers team, got our first look at them back in week 3, it was a big play-action pass, much like that. Jarman able to thread the needle. It went for a huge touchdown that turned the game around against the Roosters.
Now the pitch sweep to Mack. He's met after a short gain of about 2 on the play. Will get to the 25-yard line, but good job of getting hats to the football by Seinäjoki. Once again, it was Artu Topola who got there first. It'll be 2nd down and 8 coming up.
So far, the Crocodiles have done a good job containing Joshua Mack. I mentioned during the pregame that's going to be key for them in this one. If Mack is able to run rampant and make big plays on the ground, it takes a lot of pressure off the Steelers offense. They found themselves in quite a few high-scoring shootouts this year, and that's exactly what the last game against the Crocodiles was.
2nd and a long 8, short 9. Jarman, screen on the wide receiver side. That was once again Karkanen, who's been an early target here for Jarman. A minimal gain on the play, got about 3 or 4. They'll set up a 3rd and about 6 coming up.
Well, another 3rd down, this time 3rd and a bit more manageable. We've seen 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. Now they have 3rd and 6. And if you're the Steelers, given the way they called that last drive, you almost feel like everything in the playbook is an option here. I don't think they go for it this deep in their own territory, though. Expect the ball to be put in the air.
Here we go, 3rd down, a long 5, short 6. Jarman, once again, looking to his left. Second layer, and the catch is made by Marshall. He's pushed out of bounds, but a first down again. Good patient throw that time by Jarman. Looked underneath at first, Joe, and then saw Marshall on that second level.
And he had great time rolling to his left, and this is a well-blocked play. You see right there that extra effort from the tackle, keeping the pass rush away from Jarman. He had one defender pursuing on the backside, but not nearly close enough to take away the time he needed to throw that ball downfield. It's a third down conversion for Kuopio.
6 plays, they get it up to the 40-yard line, a drive that started at the 3. Again, a peripheral pass. Karkanen, gain of only 1 on the play. First in there to make the tackle was Atu Tuoko. And Seinäjoki getting to the ball carriers quickly here, short gain.
And you can see it early in this game, Dave. I think the Steelers are very well aware that Seinäjoki is trying to take Joshua Mack out of this game. A lot of play action, a lot of quick throws, and when they've thrown with Jarman, he's moved the pocket well, and the defense has had to contend with that. So you get this defense guessing, moving in every which direction. It's hard to adjust on the fly if you're Seinäjoki.
Marshall is in motion, stops, sets up in the slot. Jarman at first on the run, passes it right at the first down marker, and that's where they will mark forward progress, and I believe will move the sticks forward here. Another first down. Again, Marshall underneath making the grab.
Clock stopped here, and it's been a while since we've seen the Steelers offense, and it's a very small sample size in this game, but you have to be impressed with the balance of this offensive attack and their ability to incorporate play action and move the pocket. They've showed us a lot in a very small handful of plays early in this game. I like what I've seen from them so far.
Now we do have a timeout here. We were not given an indication as to who called it. You'd like to think it was called by Seinäjoki, Joe. Just the way the flow of the game and momentum is going. Obviously, they're not changing sides yet. That would have been a lightning fast first quarter, but credit to Kuopio here. They've converted a couple third downs on this drive already, and a drive that started at their own 3-yard line. They're now halfway home, right at the 50-yard line here. Majority of the time throwing the football. Now on the option, it is strung out to Mack, and Mack does clear the 45, gets a healthy gain of 6 on the play before Kasari is able to corral him out of bounds.
Well, you don't average 7 yards per carry with just your basic handoff and running behind your offensive line. There has to be some creativity in the ground game to get your yards per carry average up around that 7+ mark, and we've seen that early in this game from Joshua Mack in this Steelers offense. They've moved the pocket. They've also moved their back and quarterback in tandem, as you saw there on the speed option. A nice run on first down.
Gave him 7 on the play, so the 2nd and 3 got a really great spot at the end of that run. Mack gets held up at the line of scrimmage, plows ahead for 1, but he will be short of the first down as he got in the grasp of Charles Acano, who you mentioned, Joe, in the pregame, one of the premier defensive ends / linebackers in this Maple League, has been around quite a while. And it's going to lead to a 3rd and 2, another big third down where Kuopio has been nearly perfect here in this first quarter.
And they'll have a 3rd and short this time. First such situation for the Steelers in this one. And Crocodiles have been good at defending the run between the tackles. Can they get off the field here on 3rd?
On 3rd down and 2, the fake underneath, and that one is a little high and through the hands of Karkanen. That was a smoking shot right at the first down marker, but it will be a 4th down. And undoubtedly here, Kuopio will go on 4th and 2.
Yeah, no question about it, Dave. And I think Seinäjoki was expecting run. I'm a bit surprised to see them go play action and throw outside of the numbers, outside the hash marks. I thought if you're going to go play action there, you'd probably see them throw over the middle. They throw incomplete, and now it's 4th and short.
They go heavy on the right side here for this one. Jarman gives underneath and met in the backfield, and short of the first down was Mack. He got bumped behind the line of scrimmage, and then finishing him off was Aurelian Germany at the 41, and Seinäjoki will take over on downs again.
Once again, the Crocodiles between the tackles have been great against the ground game thus far. And if you're the Steelers, I'm a bit surprised to see them run between the tackles on that 4th down. They throw outside the numbers on 3rd. And on 4th and 2, the Crocodiles defense makes a big play there to get off the field. The second time in this first quarter that Kuopio has turned it over on downs.
Yeah, they got 7 yards on first down and then got held up from there on 3 straight plays. So Seinäjoki takes over at their own 42, and there's a slant to Portia that was broken up very nicely that time by Christopher Cox, the linebacker, working the underneath zone, 2nd and 10.
First down pass from Fowler. Portia trying to get on the ledger with his first reception with a quick, almost like a stop and go on the quick slant. He stuttered and then came over the middle, but good coverage, knocks it away incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Kuopio wanted a false start. I think they're going to get it here against Seinäjoki, which will back them up 5 yards, make it a 2nd and 15. Indeed, Seinäjoki commits their first infraction of the game.
See if you can spot it here on the replay. We'll get a quick look. May have to back it up a bit more. We'll do that right here.
Tough. Might have been a flinch
I think
on the right
the false start
maybe.
actually occurred outside the range of this replay. I didn't see much there, but I thought maybe there was movement outside of right tackle, but really tough to make out. Even on the replay, that's good eyes from the official and the Steelers. They were all over it.
Crocodiles will go empty here on 2nd down and 15. 3 on the near side, and Portia is the target underneath. Gets the penalty yardage and a little bit more. Will set up a 3rd down and 7 coming up after the gain of 8. And Portia's first touch of the football.
That was a good tackle at the end of that play as well. Going to try and make out on replay who it was that made that tackle. I think it was Mario Satonen. And it was coming down from his safety spot. There was room in front of Portia to keep running.
Way offside, free play, but now they whistle it dead because unabated to the quarterback was Yanni Lindquist, who came up. And Fowler wanted the play to continue, so he's not happy. But I think when you have a situation like that where the end comes in unabated, you're going to have the play stopped, and that's what happened.
I'll tell you, Dave, they didn't only get the camera operator on this play. They got me. The camera operator was in the sideline, and the Crocodiles were about to snap the ball. I was in the middle of breaking down that replay, and once again, Seinäjoki very quick to the line. It hasn't been consistent, but when they've looked to get to the line quickly, they've gotten there lightning fast.
Well, check that. It wasn't an offside or an unabated to the quarterback. It was a false start against the Crocodiles again on this drive. So the second one in this series of downs makes it now a 3rd down and 12.
I just watched the replay again, Dave. Didn't see it.
Yeah, unless there was a flinch by the right tackle. But another quick snap here. Fowler, left-handed quarterback, looking towards his left and short-armed that one in the direction of Portia. No flags. Seinäjoki was looking for one. It'll bring up a 4th and long.
The Steelers defense following the turnover on downs is going to get off the field pretty quickly. As we get one more look at this 3rd down snap, Fowler with pretty good pocket here. He rolls out, maybe didn't need to, and that made that throw a lot tougher. I'm not sure he had anything open prior to rolling out, but he definitely took away some potential options by moving to his left.
Both teams have had the ball twice. Kuopio has turned it over on downs twice. Seinäjoki a couple of 3 and outs, and now Manny Malkus trying to make something happen. I'm not sure why he didn't punt that from the outset, Joe, but he gets held up at the 40. There are flags down everywhere, and we'll see what the result of all of this is, unless Manny Malkus thought he had a free play, Joe. That's the only thing I can think about here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened on this play, so I'm going to reserve judgment and wait until we see this penalty sorted out. But we are getting a look at the replay.
Okay, Kuopio
and
came
you certainly
late.
could have called
A couple of late hits
in the back on Seinäjoki. It depends on how strictly they call it.
Well, yeah, and I think the flag was thrown before the Kuopio player retaliated. So, I mean, how about Manny Malkus's stiff arm on that play, Joe? I mean,
well, yeah, there was a stiff arm by Manny Malkus, and then he got completely upended to end the play.
Yeah. So a lot.
That's a big-time stiff arm, and there's helmet-to-helmet contact on that block as well.
Yep.
I don't think that's where the flag came in.
Well, and then the Kuopio player definitely retaliated and knocked one of the Seinäjoki players down after he got blocked in the back. Look at the, yeah, I mean, the stiff arm was something special. Then I don't know if that's a block in the back. That looks shoulder to shoulder to me.
Well, it was he led with the helmet, and
okay.
they made helmet-to-helmet contact, the two players with one another. But
you'll see the retaliation come in late. I mean, you've already seen it, but that'll draw a penalty as well. So they're still thinking about it and talking it over. And it still doesn't excuse Etu Mauni-Maukas's decision not to punt the ball. I don't think that would have been blocked, Joe. I really don't.
Well, let's see. We'll go back because they're still talking about it. So we're going to go back to the very beginning. We'll slow it down and get a look.
I mean, if he just takes – the snap looks good to me.
Yeah, I'm getting a look at it now, so your look will come in about 10 seconds.
Sure.
The official is still talking here.
Yeah, they'll have
perhaps I backed it up a bit too far.
So while Joe shows the replay, I'll pay attention to what they're talking about here on the field. But there's a long discussion.
I can tell you if he punts it right away, it's not getting blocked.
Right, that's what I thought, yeah.
And you know what happened? He had one of his linemen effectively stop blocking, expecting the ball to be punted, and I think where he wanted to punt, he couldn't. He needed to punt right away.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision by Mauni-Maukas, though, because I'm seeing the replay now. Here are the results of the penalties. A hit against the defenseless player by Seinäjoki.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
That's declined. Then a personal foul on Seinäjoki and a personal foul against Kuopio. Now, it's still going to be a first down for Kuopio. I just don't know where the ball will be spotted at the result of all this.
Well, was the end of that offsetting personal fouls?
Maybe. Maybe that's the reason why it looked like he made the
It doesn't look like it because they're moving the ball across midfield.
Right, so, yeah, I mean, the result of all this is going to be a 15-yard penalty against Kuopio.
So it was one personal foul against Seinäjoki for that hit and then two against Kuopio.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that makes the most sense, at least the way we look at field position. But either way, another 3 and out for Seinäjoki and essentially a botched punt that turned out to be a little bit of a positive. Puts the ball at Kuopio's 45. Jarman looks left side. That one's a hot shot in the direction of Kuika. And now we're going to get a late flag on a ball that maybe might not have been able to have been caught, Joe. We're going to have to see this on the replay again. Safisu Salama arguing his take on it, but it's going to go against the Crocodiles.
Well, I have to admit, Dave, I'm not as well brushed up on the rules as perhaps I should be. In the NFL, there is the uncatchable rule. In high school, there is not an uncatchable rule. In arena, there is not an uncatchable rule. And we cover all of them outside of the NFL. So are you sure
I'm not
what
sure.
the rule is?
No, and I would say it's modeled after college football rules here. And,
all right, then there's no uncatchable
I
rule.
also don't see the holding, and at least it didn't happen right at the end of that play. So I think Salama has a case. Either way, a penalty and gives him an automatic first down. Jarman on the keeper, gets past the first line of defense and gets hit out of bounds at the 35-yard line, close to a first down. I think he's got it. And on a couple of plays here, Kuopio right back where they would have gotten the football had that punt, been upheld originally. And so they take over here with their best field position.
I was about to say, Dave, so much for the yardage they lost on the personal foul.
Yeah. That's a nice fake, too, by Jarman. Definitely got a couple of the Seinäjoki players going after Mack on that one. Once again, heavy on the right side. Jarman looks to that side at first. Now middle of the field. Good pass. And well defended. And then the bodies come in to help the receiver get past the line, the first down marker. That was Kuika again as we have whistles come up. This could be the end of the first quarter. We will see. The ball's going to be spotted at the 25-yard line. Make it the 26. And it will be a little bit short of the first, although I think we have the end of the first quarter.
Well, I have to say, Dave, that quarter did not go as I expected. No points between these two teams. I think that's surprising for sure, but we saw a lot of decisions that I think left both of us scratching our heads throughout that quarter. And it's not often we say that covering these two teams. So no score at the end of one in Seinäjoki, and the Steelers certainly threatening. I think you have to have come away impressed with what Kuopio did offensively in terms of moving the ball. I think their fourth down play calling and decision making at times maybe a bit questionable, but I think the Steelers showed us a lot on offense. Seinäjoki didn't really move the ball much at all, And against the defense that has given up more yards per game than every team in the league with the exception of the Giants, I think that's a bit concerning if you're the Crocodiles.
It sure is, but at the same time, it's a 0-0 game, and so they have been able to hold Kuopio on that big fourth down that they've had on the first two drives. So the defense making that one big play at the end of drives to keep Kuopio off the scoreboard. But I think what's also a concern, Joe, obviously, is the Crocodiles have had the ball twice. They've run just 6 offensive plays. They have yet to have a first down in the game. And on their home turf, after 12 minutes, perhaps fortunate to only be tied here, but their defense on the field again is going to have to come up with a big spot here, as now Kuopio's inside the 30 for the first time. And they did rule that a first down on the previous play, so we're going to have a first and 10. First play of the second quarter. Jarman, they give underneath to Mack. He is held up, and no gain, maybe got one on forward progress. Pointer was there first to bring Mack down from behind.
Well, I mentioned during the pregame, the Crocodiles needed to slow down Joshua Mack, and they can check that box. Everything between the tackles has gone nowhere in this game. It's been when the Steelers have run off tackle, kept the ball in the hands of Jarman, gotten creative in the option game. Those have been the big running plays. Nothing between the tackles has gone anywhere so far.
Yeah, I was going to say the option has been really the only thing that's worked for both Jarman and Mack. Seinäjoki creeps up to the line of scrimmage a little bit more. Jarman, quick read, one-step drop, and that's in and out of the hands of Kuika. Ball was a little bit low and at the knees, but Kuika couldn't come down with that one, and we're going to have a third down and long, 3rd and 9 coming up.
And it seems like a play that may not matter much in the grand scheme of things. A short pitch and catch style completion wouldn't have gained much, but when you're right on the cusp of a potential field goal range and a field goal opportunity, it's 3rd and long. That play could end up being a big one if they don't get anything here on 3rd down. It could force them to go for it. I'm not sure where they would kick from, as I believe Kuopio has called timeout. We're awaiting that signal, and indeed the Steelers have called for time.
Yeah, and they recognize it's a big play because, again, you're not quite in field goal range yet, at least not comfortable field goal range by any stretch. So you'd like to think you have 2 downs here to try to pick up 9 yards. So if you're head coach Utrainen, it's a time to really be specific about what you want to do here. Do you want to get the quick 5 and 6 yard hookup, make it a 4th and manageable? Are you looking for something that gets you the whole 10 here? If you do get 8 or 9, are you bringing your field goal unit in? There's a lot to discuss here. And pretty big moment here, because if you're Kuopio, you don't want to have a 3rd straight drive where you turn the ball over on downs either.
I think if you're the Steelers and you're sure you can make a kick from wherever you end up following this 3rd down play, I think you take it, of course, barring a first down. If you know you can make the kick and it's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, and you know you can make it, I'm going to kick it the way this game has gone so far. That being said, Dave, I'm always a proponent of playing to win and not playing not to lose. So if you consider kicking playing not to lose, then maybe you do go. We'll see what happens.
This play will determine that for sure. Jarman and the low underneath to Mack, turns it up inside the 20, the 15, the 10 before he's put down. 1st and goal, Kuopio coming up.
That's a great play call by the Steelers right there, and they call it at a big moment early in this game. They call it at the perfect time. You'll see it here on replay. The Crocodiles in zone coverage. They're backing up, trying to protect the sticks. No man assigned to Mack, and he catches that screen pass, has tremendous blocking in front of him. Goal to go now for Kuopio. They break out the screen pass at the perfect time.
That's the kind of play you want to see executed following a timeout. They discussed it. They saw what could work against this highly aggressive Crocodiles defense, and it worked to perfection. Gain of about 22 on the play, puts the ball at the 7-yard line, 1st and goal. Jarman with Mack to his right. He will take it himself, looking for the right corner, clears the 5 and ends up at about the 3-yard line. A gain of 3 or 4 on the play, 2nd and goal coming up.
You have to be careful there if you're Jarman. You can't fumble that through the end zone. That could be big trouble. He did lose it at the end of that play. I don't know whether or not he was down. We'll see here. And he got into a foot race toward that sideline. Good pursuit by the Crocodiles on that play to make sure he did not find the end zone.
Officially a gain of
12
3.
on my Seinäjoki roster, Dave. I believe it was 12 who made the tackle.
Yeah, I don't either, Joe. And unfortunately, that must have been a late addition or somebody lifted from the injured list. So 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. After essentially cutting the distance in half, Jarman now sweeps out to his left, looking, and that's incomplete as Marshall had it bounce off of his numbers and out of his hands right at the goal line. And it'll bring up a 3rd and goal. That's a big drop there by Marshall.
Well, Marshall just had touchdown number 12 go straight through his hands. And the way this game has gone, missed opportunities like that are big missed opportunities. Again, look at Akano getting in the passing lane. And the way he reacted almost makes me think he may have gotten a piece of it, Dave.
Yeah, it didn't look like the ball changed trajectory, but even just the fingernail on it.
Uncharacteristic by Marshall.
Sure. 3rd and goal. Big play here.
Dave.
And swallowed up in the backfield. Charles Akano again, finished off by Jallo. 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Nothing doing for Joshua Mack in this one. It's going to be 4th and goal from the 6, and it looks like the field goal unit is coming on. Yeah, Jarman's coming into hold.
You have to kick it. You have to kick it.
And this is interesting, Joe, because the usual kicker is Lero Pekarainen. But coming into kick is a fellow defensive back, Akseli Sirianen, from the right hash. Snap up. It's a fake. And Sirianen in the flat. Seinäjoki sniffed it out. Sirianen bouncing towards the goal line. I think he's just short, Joe. No official signal yet. He is short, ends up at the 1. And the Crocodiles are taking over again on downs.
Wow. And Dave, you mentioned the regular kicker was not in there. I think we see why. And this almost turned into a touchdown. Sirianen made some great moves to give himself a shot. But Seinäjoki, as you said, appeared ready, and they were able to make the stop. Now let's see why they had a chance to get that stop in the first place. Here's that ball to Marshall. Slowed down. I think Akano does get a piece of this, Dave, and I think that's why Marshall dropped it. If not, the Steelers could be leading by 6 or 7 points here.
Blomqvist needs to get it past the goal line. He does. He travels to about the 4 or 5 yard line, so gets it out of danger on 1st down.
During that play, we got a very quick look, or perhaps a not so quick look, slowed down at that tip by Akano. He got a piece of it, Dave.
Yeah, I see that
saved
now.
the drive.
Kind of fluttered the ball a little bit. And there's a big play at the goal line. It's marked down at the 1. Big loss on the play. Blomqvist back to the original line of scrimmage. We're going to look at a 3rd and 10 now from the 1.
Well, that was close.
Yeah,
that's about as close as it gets to a safety without being tackled in your own end zone. And now it's a very, very dangerous position that the Crocodiles find themselves in. The Steelers could quickly pick up 2 points on defense.
3rd and 10. Huge play here. Fowler. Silent count. Looking. Sideline. That is thrown errant in the direction of Porsche. Porsche kind of flattened his route, and Fowler tried to connect with him on the streak, and it's going to be 4th down and 10 from the 1. And it's going to make for an interesting punt here for Makumanis, who couldn't get off the last one. So it's an interesting play coming up.
Did you hear that collective gasp in Rorokit Stadium?
Yes, I did.
On that throw. You couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
It came through loud and clear on the headset. I'm sure our audience picked it up as well. And that was my reaction internally. I have no skin in the game, but if I'm a fan of Seinäjoki, I am definitely reacting much like that. Following that throw, the Crocodiles call timeout here ahead of this punt.
Yeah, and I think this discussion is going to be about what happened the last time they got off. They tried to get off a punt anyway. Makimanis tried to roll to his right and punt it, with a head of steam rolling to his right, and that just ended up being a disaster. So I think head coach Jamie Hill who, you know, after we saw Seinäjoki, Joe, beat the Butchers to go, I think it was 4-0 at the time, you know, he was served a 3-game suspension for, you know, some antics at the end of that game. Remember, he was very hot when the team was going into overtime there because of the stoppage in play. He ended up serving a 3-game suspension after that game. So he's back, actually, off of that suspension and is back on the Seinäjoki sideline. So interesting caveat there.
The punter's heels are out of bounds.
Oh, he took a safety.
Okay.
They took a safety, Joe. So they're willing to concede 2 points in an effort, A, to not botch the snap or to give Kuopio the ball back, you know, maybe at the 30-yard line, 25, 30-yard line. So they'd rather give up the 2.
This game is gone, Dave.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can afford to give away 2 points.
You know, I don't like that either. You know, I feel like your defense 3 times in this game has made a big stop on 4th down. Granted, you know, they've gotten the ball moved on them. But, you know, Kuopio has 0 points on the scoreboard for a reason. Your defense has stepped up. And to just give away the 2 there, I don't know. I would have played defense and challenged my defense to get stops again.
The only explanation that I can find, and I think it is a reasonable explanation as to why they did that, is because they just have found themselves on the wrong side of this battle for field position the entire game, and I think they're trying to shift that back in the other direction. Early in the game, the Steelers turned it over on downs. You're thinking, wow, Seinäjoki in plus territory. At the very least, you're getting 3 here. They get nothing. Since that time, the Steelers have been right around the goal line in plus territory, and Seinäjoki's been backed up in their own territory. So I think they're going to try and shift that field position back the other way. That being said, if you know you can get a punt off, you have to punt it.
And instead, it's...
That was an onside attempt, Dave.
Yeah,
they tried to onside kick it.
The 45-yard line. So now that decision to take the safety looks even more dubious, and you're giving the ball back to Kuopio just outside your own 45-yard line. And, yeah, I don't know. You give a lot of
That's why
cause.
they did it, Dave. It had nothing to do with field position. They wanted to attempt an onside kick.
But is that the kind of onside kick that you feel is going to work in that scenario?
No.
No. Yeah, it's just...
maybe they didn't execute it,
right?
But it had no chance.
It just gives a lot of cause for second guessing here, these last couple of plays for Seinäjoki. But their defense has come through. Can they do it again? This time Kuopio starting on the Seinäjoki side of the field and off to the races and to the house on the first carry of the game for Tuukka Latonen. And Kuopio, a 46-yard run, are now up 8-0.
Well, if you're the Steelers, you couldn't have asked for any more out of that sequence of plays. You have a 4th down, Seinäjoki backed up in their end zone. They concede the safety. Then they attempt an onside safety kick. And to be fair, Dave, I got to look at it on replay. The replay ran a bit too long. On the replay, if the Steeler who ended up fielding it on a bounce touches that and doesn't bring it in, they had a shot. But other than that, there was no chance. 1-play drive for Kuopio. They're up by 8.
The extra point makes it 9. It is a 9-0 game. So Kuopio with a 2-score lead here on essentially back-to-back plays. The safety and then the first offensive play after that. 46-yard touchdown on the first touch of the game for running back number 35, Tuukka Latonen. And, so he takes the place of Joshua Mack, who I think has negative yardage in this game, on the ground anyway. And all Latonen does is go 46 to the house on his first touch.
Well, we just got to look at the 2-play sequence leading to that touchdown. And on the onside kick, you watch it back, and I couldn't make out a number on who it was that played it on the hop. But I'll tell you, aside from the player who did recover it, there was no other Steeler making a break toward that ball. So if it's not played on a very awkward bounce, I may have to take back what I said. Seinäjoki might have had a chance to recover it because none of the Steelers who were beyond the ball came down and tried to make a play on the ball. And then that touchdown that has to be so demoralizing for the Crocodiles. You've stopped the Steelers multiple times already in this first half. You give away 2 points. You give the ball back to Kuopio on the plus side of the 50, and immediately they turn it into 7 points and a 2-score lead. That's important to note as well.
It almost makes you wonder, as now taking a knee on the kickoff, and another weird play by Alex Yamson. Now, Alex Yamson is a wide receiver, so you know he's used to having the ball in his hands and doing something, but he just takes a knee here, and that, I don't know what's happening, Joe, and I think you kind of said it too. It's like, what is going on? I
said it without using those words, but, you know, it was actually a fair catch, so
if it's a fair catch,
I don't get that at all.
They get the ball to 25, I guess, to start. Okay.
Well, but there was more yardage to be gained there.
Fowler with the quick give to Blomqvist on the carry. He goes ahead for 2 and 2 only. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Remember, Seinäjoki is still looking for their first down of the game. They went 3 and out on their first couple of drives. They took a safety on their third. This is their 4th offensive drive of the game. They're midway through the 2nd. And they now need a response after the Steelers go up 9-0. And you almost wonder, Joe, was it an advantage for the Steelers not to score on that last drive and leave the ball at the 1-yard line for Seinäjoki? Fowler stepping up in the pocket, makes a man miss. Great move as he gets over to his right side. And there is the first down of the game for Seinäjoki on the legs of Fowler.
Crocodiles needed that in the absolute worst way, Dave. And there might be a flag on this play. One of the Steelers was pointing back at Seinäjoki, and they may end up losing this first down.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if this flag was thrown late or not, but Kuopio has asked for some calls, and they've gotten them on some late flags here. But, again, I don't know when this flag was thrown, but let's see if we can pick it up here. I don't see anything yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
hard
to tell, but looks like Kuopio is pointing in the direction of Seinäjoki. They think it's against the Crocodiles. Now we see the Crocodiles backing up a little bit, so your guess is as good as ours. Let's see what we get here from our head official as the ball gets spotted at the 42-yard line.
They're moving the chains right now.
Holding on the defense, that is declined. Okay, so no question a decline there after the gain of 17 yards. Seinäjoki with their first down and their best field position here since the first quarter. And nothing doing again for Blomqvist as he tried to go off tackle right. That was actually not Blomqvist. That was number 29, Christian Renica.
Well, the Crocodiles needed that first down in a big way, but that was not the play design. It was a broken play, and Fowler turned nothing into something. They need to start gaining some traction behind their play calls.
2nd and 10. Fowler, 3-step drop, looking towards the sideline, incomplete. Good defensive play to interrupt Yamson's catch that time. I believe breaking up the play was Tuka Michaela for the Steelers, number 23. Got to Yamson right as soon as the ball got there as well.
Yeah, I think there was a chance to make that catch, but it was a tough chance. And again, 3rd and long for the Crocodiles. And after that first down run by Fowler, they're in danger of being forced to punt.
Flags are down, and it'll be a false start against the Crocodiles. That's the 3rd time they have jumped prior to the play, and that's the 3rd time it sets them up from, this time a 3rd and 10 situation, now a 3rd and 15.
Well, I said it during the pregame. Of all the playoff teams, they are the least penalized. And it's as if I put the commentators' jinx on them. I've been guilty of it on more than one occasion when it comes to the stats. And you bring that up in the pregame, and all of a sudden the Crocodiles have been a mess pre-snap.
Yeah, they also got whistled for a pass interference call. They got whistled for a personal foul as well. So it's been a sloppy first half. 3rd down and 15. Good protection. They look sideline, trying to compensate back to the ball was Alexi Peltakangis, but he just could not get up and grab that one. Good coverage down the field. And we are going to have a 4th down and long situation. And again, an eventful first half will continue for the punter, Etu Makimanis, will come in to punt this one away.
When you look at this on replay, it looked like Peltokongas had a step, and the throw just didn't have enough on it to push him beyond the DB. He had to slow down at the back end. That allowed the coverage to recover, and not much of a chance for a completion there on 3rd.
Again, Makimanis drifts to his right, gets that one off, straight up, and lands inbounds and takes a really good Crocodiles bounce and goes out of play at the 25-yard line or so. Mark it at the 26. So about a 35-yard punt with no return. And Kuopio, coming off the heels of their one-play touchdown, will go back on offense.
Well, I'm not quite sure what happened when Makimanis declined to punt it, but unfortunately, Dave, I have to bring up a conversation that we had in our game last week. The punter for Seinäjoki has been pretty good when he's decided to kick the ball in this game. Unfortunately, when you're talking about how well the punter is doing, that's bad news for your team more often than not.
Right. Seinäjoki's gone 2 3-and-outs. They suffered a safety. They did pick up their first down, but that's all as Marshall tried to work his way back to the ball there. A good defense there by Panuhutu, but Marshall couldn't corral that one. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, the Steelers have taken their shots in the passing game, and so far they have not hit any of the big plays. A lot of their big completions have come off of play action and on 3rd down when they've moved the pocket. But working from the pocket, we haven't seen Jarman able to connect. We've seen a couple of drops. Uncharacteristic of this Steelers team, but a testament to how good the Seinäjoki secondary is.
Underneath, and again on a second effort, they're able to crawl forward about 2 yards. Again, that was Lettman, who's getting a couple of carries there, fresh off of his touchdown run. He gets only 2 there to be 3rd and 8.
Well, Mack might not be averaging 7 yards a carry in this game, but with that big touchdown run on the last drive, overall, the Steelers might be around that number in this game. That big chunk certainly helped on the touchdown, but again, Kuopio with a 3rd and long. We'll see if they can keep this drive going.
Yeah, big play here, 3rd down, a long 8. Jarman rolls to his right, now looking towards the sideline. Kuika makes the catch, but he is going to be short of the 1st down, I believe.
I think he's way out of bounds, no?
Oh, so that was ruled an incompletion, Joe? I didn't catch it. Yes, indeed. Incomplete, so it'll be 4th and 8, and now Kuopio suffers a 3-and-out, and they will have to punt.
It almost seems to me like Kuopio may have gotten a little too cute on this play. They rolled Jarman out to his weak side, which is very interesting when you need 8 yards. And that makes it a very tough throw. He had to hold on to the ball probably a bit longer than he would have liked. I think he held on a bit longer than he needed to as well, and there was just no chance to catch that in bounds.
First punt of the game for Kuopio. It's fielded at the 40, but muffed and grabbed right back at the 45-yard line by Seinäjoki. Sifisu Salama muffed it and got it back. Avoids disaster, but the Crocodiles will take it back from where they punted pretty much at their own 40-yard line.
And for the first time since their first drive, the Crocodiles are going to start pretty good field position. They were deep in Kuopio territory the first time they got the football. This is as good a starting field position as they have had since.
Can they string together some positive plays? Seinäjoki hasn't had a lot of them in this game, and they've been bitten by the penalty bug. Trips to the low side of the screen. Instead, they go up the middle of the field, and Porsche makes the catch. Gets 6 yards on the play. It'll be 2nd and 4 coming up.
Porsche earned that one. Came over the middle, and he was able to beat the first defender, then got contorted back in the direction that he came from originally. And there's a really tight window to get that ball in, and boy, he went down awkwardly.
Sure did. Top and bottom twisted in 2 different directions. Fowler out of the pocket, fakes, goes backwards, and now slides down for the 1st down. And he is on Kuopio's side of the field. Seinäjoki's bench wanted a late hit there. They won't get it, but they will move the sticks here. Seinäjoki with their 2nd first down of the half. And they're in Kuopio territory.
Now, very quickly, that's not a late hit by my estimation, but we've seen similar plays called already this season. So I would not have been shocked if that was called, but Fowler has picked up both Seinäjoki first downs in this game.
Yes, he has. So now working out of the shotgun, will give underneath. Blomqvist gets it back again and is close to another first down. Got about 8 yards on that one. Good patient running there and figuring out the holes there. Blomqvist with his longest run of the evening.
If Seinäjoki can get the ground game going, that's really going to help them. I mentioned during the pregame that if the Steelers could take Porsche away, they might be able to make Seinäjoki a bit more one-dimensional. Crocodiles really haven't thrown it that well in this game, haven't done much offensively.
They look underneath, and that one's deflected and batted away at the line of scrimmage. Good job getting the hands up by Damian Lowery to break that one up.
And not only has Seinäjoki had their offensive struggles in this game, but they've done something that I don't recall us seeing them do this season. They've played at a very quick pace offensively, hurrying to the line on, I'd say, about 2/3 of their plays. And the Steelers have not been phased. This is a defense that gives up nearly 400 yards per game.
Flag is down on the play. They go forward for the first down. Actually, that's going to be very close to the first down marker for Blomqvist, but we'll have to see what this flag is all about. Now, the head umpire has waived first down, but first we're going to need to see what the flag was.
It came out immediately from the
Yes,
near
it did.
side.
Yep. Leads you to believe it was kind of a free play for Seinäjoki, but we will see. Oh, they're going backwards with it.
You said it during the pregame as well. The Crocodiles 1-2 in the last 3. You can't let that fool you, as now they've changed the call.
Yeah, well,
they went the other way.
They went back to the original line of scrimmage so they can walk off the 5 yards. So that makes sense. There's an offsides call on Steelers. So first down by way of penalty, but Seinäjoki will take it. And now they set up at Kuopio's 36-yard line. It's a 9-point game, so Seinäjoki will need 2 scores to overcome this deficit, but they've traveled about 30 yards already on this drive. Fowler, quick drop, and that one is incomplete out past the outstretched hand of Alex Yamson, 2nd and 10.
Well, quickly to the point I was about to make. We mentioned Seinäjoki 1-2 in their last 3, but it would be a huge mistake to write this team off, even though they are the number 3 seed right now. We went through the numbers, and this team's numbers across offense and defense are right up there with the top teams in this league. So this is very surprising, this half that they've had with all these mistakes and 0 points.
On 2nd down and 10, there was a little movement, no call, and the drop-off is underneath, and that ball was fumbled. It's still down, and getting on top of it was Justice Vertanen. After fumbling away was Pavel Ratakomi. But a little bit of a fortunate bounce there as Justice Vertanen, Johnny on the spot, is able to get himself on top of that one.
Fortunate bounce, a good play by Vertanen, and some very animated fans after that ball came out. And 3 Steelers contributed to forcing that fumble, and fortunately for Seinäjoki, they keep this drive going.
So again, the Sticks advance. Outside the red zone, 1-step drop. They look on the left side once again. The catch is made by Ratakomi. And Seinäjoki's starting to spread it around a little bit, Joe. They were almost exclusively working to Mauricio Porsche. But now Fowler getting looks at Yamson and now Ratakomi. And they've yet to include Justice Vertanen into the mix as well.
I'll tell you, Dave, if the corners give Ratakomi some space, he's a big body. He carried the defenders upfield.
Another 3-step drop, and this time swallowed up was Fowler by big number 99, Yanni Lindquist. And that's the first sack of the game on Fowler.
And it came at a big time for the Steelers because a lot of what you did in this first half essentially gets erased if the Crocodiles score a touchdown here. You could still go into halftime leading, and that's great. But if Seinäjoki gets the ball trailing by 2 points to start the 3rd quarter, that's a position they'll take, given how this half has gone, and we've reached the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning. So it'll be about a 3rd down and 5 when we come back here. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but we're in that range. It looks like the first down marker's at about the 12-yard line. So, yeah, this is a 3rd down and 5. potentially 4-down territory. Again, Monty Malkus is the kicker of record, but he's also listed as a defensive lineman. Both of these teams do not have exclusive kickers on their team. Positional players do kick the ball. So from here, if they didn't gain another yard, it would be about a 34-yard field goal.
Question is, would they kick it?
Well, that's the thing. So this could be 4-down territory. So 2 plays to get 5 yards. And time at this point is a moot point.
You have to keep in mind, you need 2 scores.
Right.
And probably more, given what we know of these 2 teams offensively. You're probably going to need more than the 2 scores, but I think if you're Seinäjoki and you get nothing here, you have to kick just to get points on the board. And you may get it back in the third quarter, trailing by just 6.
Yeah.
You may get the ball back here in this first half as well, though we should note they have just 1 timeout remaining. So this drive is very likely their last extended opportunity to score.
I would not be surprised if Fowler keeps this himself with the empty backfield now. Everyone spread out wide. Fowler trying to buy some time, steps up in the pocket, running out of room, works it towards the end zone, and that is through the hands of Rantakomi. Might have lost it with the defensive back ahead of him, but that ball was put there, Joe, in the right place, and Rantakomi saw it go right through his hands.
This is a great play by Fowler. He wanted to go left. It wasn't there. He steps up through the collapsing pocket, throws against his momentum, and just could not get it on the back end. The completion was there, and it went straight through the hands of Rantakomi. That one hurts, and Dave, I'm not really surprised, but if they don't get it, you'll criticize this decision to go for it.
Once again, they empty the backfield. They go end zone, in traffic, incomplete. Broken up by a pair of defensive backs. They were looking in the direction of Rantakomi again, but Suryanin, also the kicker in this game, helps out the cause and breaks that play up. Kuopio takes over on downs.
There wasn't a big window there. It almost looked like the ball got to him too, but that is such a tough catch. It needed to be a bit higher for Rantakomi to have a shot, and if you're the Crocodiles, I think you have to kick it there, Dave.
Well, that's another play where you have Yamson who flattened the route near the first down marker. You have 2 plays there to get 5 yards, and the Crocodiles went to the end zone both times. And that's the part that I disagree with on that last sequence as well, especially when you had the first down underneath pretty easily, as this is Joshua Mack with his first true carry past 10 yards, but there is a flag down in the backfield like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think, Dave, given the way this half has gone, and I'd go as far as to call it just a brutal first half for Seinäjoki. If you go into half down 1 score, that's a huge victory, and you'll take it. You will take it. They get the ball to start the third quarter. I don't think they needed to go for that, and I'm with you. Throwing to the end zone, if you think you have it, sure, you try it on 3rd down, but on 4th down, I didn't feel like that opening was one that you had to have. That was a really tight window with 2 defenders there.
And especially when you had Yamson right at the first down marker, and Joe, I don't know if you have the replay still, but you could see Yamson is the tight end, and he just does a 5-yard and out. And
we have it. We're running it right now.
Yeah, kind of by himself. He's going to get the first down. If that ball is put on him at the break of his route, he's going to have a first down there. And then you have plenty of time. You have to get a new fresh set of downs. 1st and 20 for Kuopio, meanwhile, as they'll punch it down, and they'll get it past the 20-yard line as they get some breathing room. Juvonen with the first.
I think they blew it dead, Dave. And if so, that is tough for the Crocodiles.
Yeah, it'll be 2nd down. Well,
we're not going to get a great look at this unless the Steelers call timeout, so we're going to wait. But I'm trying to view it on the back-end monitor right now.
It looks like Juvonen got kind of spun around. His forward progress was stopped, but it all depends, again, on the whistle.
Yeah, I think the ball came out, but I did hear a whistle come in before the ball came loose.
At the result of all this, we're going to have a 2nd and about 6 or 7 coming up. Steelers want to do something here inside of a minute and a half. See if they can string some things together. They are putting the ball up, that's for sure. Long count by Jarman. They give over to Mack. Mack spins past one tackler but cannot get to the 20. Original line of scrimmage, 3rd down and 7. Will Seinäjoki use a timeout here? That's the other decision. They do have one left. The timeout has been taken, and I have to think Seinäjoki took it.
I would suspect
yes,
they did.
I just heard it from the PA announcer, Joe.
Perfect.
So, yep.
Well, if you're the Steelers now, I think you pretty much control what Seinäjoki can do once they get it. They're not going to have much time if the Steelers run it, take the clock all the way down, and call timeout.
Right. Yeah, well, again, Seinäjoki calls this timeout. It's their last one. But what you do by calling it is you force the Steelers to just run the ball and potentially just run the clock out. So,
well, for what it's worth, if they had kicked the field goal and they get it back here in good field position, they might have had a chance for 6 points before halftime.
Yeah.
And a chance to tie in a field goal to start the 3rd quarter.
It's fair.
It's been such an odd first half, so far out of the ordinary in terms of how this game has been called, really by both teams. The game began with the Steelers going for it on 4th down in their own territory.
Yeah.
I was shocked, but I think the previous play call gave that decision away. And now on 3rd and 7, we'll see if Seinäjoki's defense can get off the field and give their offense one more shot.
3rd down and 7 yards to go. Jarman will give underneath to Mack. Not too shocked with this, as Seinäjoki cannot stop the clock anymore. And
can they?
Can they?
The clock was just
4th
stopped.
Down. Was it? So maybe Seinäjoki did have one left, Joe, and we might have missed one.
Well, that would mean that the Steelers have one left.
Yeah, I guess so, because the Crocodiles indeed had one left, so they will force a punt here. But, going back to, Joe, to the decision not to kick the field goal, I don't know if Seinäjoki is very confident of that kick being made from 30, 35 yards out. Remember when we covered them against the Butchers, Joe, they had some really eventful extra points in that game. Remember when we said, hey, do you think they're going to kick an extra point here? And they're like, not the way we've seen them. So I don't know if they're confident enough in their kicking game to have kicked a field goal there. That's why I think they were going to go all the way on 4th down. And I don't know where they would really be comfortable kicking a field goal. Anyway, on 4th down, Seinäjoki will get the ball back with very little time left on the clock. They do go after the punt. It is gotten off very well, however. Sifiso is back deep, but he's not going to play this. He will watch it go out of bounds at the 33-yard line, and we will see if the Crocodiles will elect to run a play or two here.
There's a situation where a great punt doesn't necessarily mean bad news.
Yeah, just getting it off there was the key there, as Seinäjoki was definitely coming in for that punt block. And with Seinäjoki coming in tight here on the formation, you think at this point Fowler is just going to take a knee, and we will go into halftime with Kuopio pitching a shutout here, 9-0. Never would have guessed this would have been our halftime lead, but once again, Joe, you and I are a part of a game that is still relatively close at halftime. It is a 2-score game, but it could set up for a wild second half that we might have here. But Kuopio on the road looking to lock up a number 1 seed, and they are halfway home. 9-0, they lead. Joe, your impressions through the first 24 minutes?
Well, I think if you're a fan of the Steelers, you have to be pleased with how they've moved the ball. I don't think they've finished drives well, especially down around the goal line on 3rd and 4th down. But I think overall you have to be pretty pleased with how the team has moved the ball. And if you're Seinäjoki, their defense deserves credit as well. It's done enough to keep them in this game because based on the first down total and the yardage total, Seinäjoki really doesn't have much business being that close. I don't know what the yard disparity would be. I think that last drive helped level that off a bit if you're the Crocodiles, but their offense has to figure things out, and I'm a bit shocked that we're saying that at halftime. I didn't think that either team's offense failing to put up points was going to be a story in this game, especially given what we saw last week. But here we are 24 minutes in, and Seinäjoki has a goose egg up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, we've seen 5 total punts in that half. We saw 4 drives end via a turnover on downs. We saw a safety, so points from defense. And then we saw a one-play touchdown for Kuopio. That was really the highlight offensively for both of these teams. But either way, Kuopio goes into the half with a 9-0 lead. Joe and I will step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll get you ready for second half kickoff here from Seinäjoki, Finland. First and second place seedings on the line in this one, 2 playoff-bound teams. We're at break. We'll come back for the second half.
The PDF Sports Network is officially seeking sponsors for the 2026 Vaahteraliiga season. The Vaahteraliiga is the top professional American football league in Finland, and now, for the first time, is available in the English language and in the U.S., courtesy of PDF. Join us as we make history by showcasing the Maple League to a new worldwide audience. Our partnership with the Vaahteraliiga was recently featured in International Business Journal as a groundbreaking venture that in 2025 earned us a Global Recognition Award and a GHP Magazine Award for Best Local Live Broadcasting in the nation. It's time to bring our coverage to the next level and showcase your products and business to local and international audiences. Show your support now by calling us at 732-723-8189 or by emailing pdfsportsnet@gmail.com. Attention local businesses and professionals. Isn't it time to elevate your game? Now you can advertise your business or product on PDF Sports Network. Your ad will appear on all of our broadcasts, including this one. Don't have a commercial? We'll make one for you, absolutely free. What better way to showcase your product and brand while supporting the best local sports, teams, and leagues? Call now at 732-723-8189 or visit us at pdfsportsnet.com.
Burgers are better at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
My weekend starts with the Brownstone burger, topped with cheddar, barbecue sauce, and a fried egg.
Give me the Hawaiian burger. I love the Canadian bacon and sweet pineapple.
How do you like your salads? Shrimp, chicken, beef?
Stop in and see why families are eating good at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
Refined, restorative, results-driven. At CMX iMed Bar, we blend medicine, aesthetics, and wellness into one luxury experience, led by Dr. Angela Roque. Located in the heart of Pier Village, Long Branch. Visit cmximedbar.com or text 9089-232-694 to look better, feel better, live elevated.
Great having you. Incredible women. I wish they had those kind of cool careers for women when we were growing up.
So in this flashback, we're all the same age?
Yeah.
What does everyone want to be when they grow up?
If I say 2 jobs, do I get extra credit?
No.
I want to make immersive video games. I want to revolutionize 3D printing. I want to analyze data from the cloud.
I want to be a meteor.
You mean meteorologist?
No.
That's great, Al. Follow your dreams.
For the record, I was a baby in the 70s.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
The PDF Sports Network is officially seeking sponsors for the 2026 Vaahteraliiga season. The Vaahteraliiga is the top professional American football league in Finland, and now, for the first time, is available in the English language and in the U.S., courtesy of PDF. Join us as we make history by showcasing the Maple League to a new worldwide audience. Our partnership with the Vaahteraliiga was recently featured in International Business Journal as a groundbreaking venture that in 2025 earned us a Global Recognition Award and a GHP Magazine Award for Best Local Live Broadcasting in the nation. It's time to bring our coverage to the next level and showcase your products and business to local and international audiences. Show your support now by calling us at 732-723-8189 or by emailing pdfsportsnet@gmail.com. Attention local businesses and professionals. Isn't it time to elevate your game? Now you can advertise your business or product on PDF Sports Network. Your ad will appear on all of our broadcasts, including this one. Don't have a commercial? We'll make one for you, absolutely free. What better way to showcase your product and brand while supporting the best local sports, teams, and leagues? Call now at 732-723-8189 or visit us at pdfsportsnet.com.
Burgers are better at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
My weekend starts with the Brownstone burger, topped with cheddar, barbecue sauce, and a fried egg.
Give me the Hawaiian burger. I love the Canadian bacon and sweet pineapple.
How do you like your salads? Shrimp, chicken, beef?
Stop in and see why families are eating good at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
Refined, restorative, results-driven. At CMX iMed Bar, we blend medicine, aesthetics, and wellness into one luxury experience, led by Dr. Angela Roque. Located in the heart of Pier Village, Long Branch. Visit cmximedbar.com or text 9089-232-694 to look better, feel better, live elevated.
Great having you. Incredible women. I wish they had those kind of cool careers for women when we were growing up.
So in this flashback, we're all the same age?
Yeah. What does everyone want to be when they grow up?
If I say 2 jobs, do I get extra credit?
No.
I want to make immersive video games. I want to revolutionize 3D printing. I want to analyze data from the cloud.
I want to be a meteor.
You mean meteorologist?
No.
That's great, Al. Follow your dreams.
For the record, I was a baby in the 70s.
You Know I'm Right, the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast. Everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You can vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
We are back here getting set for the second half of action between the Kuopio Steelers and the Seinäjoki Crocodiles. Kuopio with a 9-0 lead at half. Joe, we were talking during halftime, off the air and while commercials were being played about what an unorthodox first half we had here between two teams that we were expecting a lot of different things from in the first 24 minutes. We certainly didn't account for what we saw in the first half. What do you think the adjustments are for each team as they went into the locker room?
Well, I think Seinäjoki needs to find a way to maintain some drives. They had a good drive to close out that first half, and it just faltered on 3rd and 4th down almost inexplicably. They threw to the end zone twice. To be fair, the first attempt was a broken play, and it went through the hands of the intended receiver. Rantakomi had a chance. Not an easy chance, but he had a chance. Then on 4th down, they threw what was effectively a jump ball into a double team, and that ended the drive. But that was the last in a long line of very curious decisions by both teams during that first half. But on the topic of adjustments, Seinäjoki's defense has played well. Their offense has to find a way to sustain drives and put together first down plays that don't come in the form of penalties and broken plays where your quarterback is forced to run. If you're the Steelers, their problem hasn't been sustaining drives. It's been finishing drives. They got down to the goal line and they attempted that fake field goal. They didn't score. They, by my estimation, made it was a decision that didn't come back to burn them, but it was still a very curious decision to go for it on 4th down to begin the game and give Seinäjoki the ball in plus territory. But maybe they knew something we didn't, because their defense, as good as Seinäjoki's defense has been, the Steelers' defense has been better. They've given up nothing in this first half, or in the first 24 minutes now, I should say. And I think offensively, if they finish drives, they win this game because they're moving the football and their defense has played great.
Yeah, 100%. The way the offenses have played leads you to think, going for it on 4th down, that they trust their defense, and they have every right to, the way both of these defenses have played. Seinäjoki, just like you said, they're down by 9 in this game, but their defense on 4th down has been terrific. They turned Kuopio over on downs the first 3 drives of the game for the Steelers, where a turnover on downs. And then their one touchdown was a one-play drive where essentially there was a breakdown with Seinäjoki on a running play where they just failed to make a tackle, at the line of scrimmage. And, popping in from 46 yards away was Tuukka Lehtinen for the game's only offensive score. Other than that, it's been all defense. Kuopio 2 points on the defense. Right now is the difference between this being a 1-score game and a 2-score game. And those 2 points came not necessarily on a good defensive play. It came on Seinäjoki just stepping out of the end zone on a punt where they had an option whether they could just kick the ball from their own 1-yard line. Instead, Maki Maunis just decides to step out and concede 2 points. That could end up being a tough decision down the stretch. Again, we'll see how those decisions play out over the course of the next half, but I think both teams have some serious things to work on, especially the Crocodiles in that locker room. And we'll see if it pays off, because they will get the ball first here to start the second half. We'll see what adjustments have been made.
Yeah, and by my estimation, Dave, there were so many questionable decisions in that first half. And I think The last of them was Seinäjoki not attempting a field goal, and it goes back to the punt as well. Do they have the ability to kick a field goal from outside of extra point range? Do they have the ability to punt it from their own end zone? I'm not sure they do. Have we seen Makimanis punt it conventionally yet? Not in this game.
Not without a running start, as taking a knee was Topola, one of the up men.
They've done that on 2 separate kick returns.
Yeah, that one I kind of get, though, because Topola was going to have about 2 or 3 white jerseys on top of him there. He is not a returner. And Seinäjoki does get the ball in really good field position to start things off their own 37-yard line. But that, too, was kind of a pop-up, if you will, a short fly ball to the up men.
Well, if you're the Crocodiles, being down only 9, I think that is a victory for you. I think they could be closer. But if they can put together a strong drive to begin this third quarter, we have ourselves a ball game.
And the give is to Blomqvist, who goes off tackle left and gets some good yardage, about 5 yards, to start this drive. And, you know, I thought the Crocodiles, one of the things they did better in the second quarter, Joe, was they were a little bit more eclectic with the pass game. You know, it seemed like they were really targeting Portia, the first, 5 or 6 dropbacks for Fowler. They differentiated it a little bit more in the second. But this why Blomqvist, same exact play, this time goes off tackle left for only a yard, so it'll be 3rd and 4 coming up.
2 straight runs to begin the second half, and we mentioned it during the pregame. This is not a team that has run the ball particularly well. They do have over 100 yards per game averaged on the ground this season, but there hasn't been that one ball carrier who's been really dynamic. It's been Fowler a lot in these situations on passing downs.
It's a big 3rd down here to start this third quarter. Fowler, good protection, works it sideline, one-on-one coverage, and broken up. Nice job defensively by Tuukka Mäkelä. That pass was a little thrown short in the direction of Peltokangas. 3 and out for the Seinäjoki Crocodiles.
Second time they've tried to go up this near sideline to Peltokangas, and second time that it was broken up. This time significantly more underthrown and nearly picked.
And again, I didn't see the progressions of the other receivers there, Joe, but again, going for the home run on 3rd and relatively short. And there's a block as Makimanis had that one blocked as he ran into another punt, and that one goes for -3 as Seinäjoki does get on top of it. Jokinen made the recovery, but at the 35-yard line, the Steelers will take over 1st and 10.
And Dave, when you look at the path that Makimanis took to punt that ball, I think you understand why they didn't punt from their own end zone. I'm not sure he could have.
Yeah, I guess.
He was way behind the line of scrimmage receiving that snap. He bobbled it and moved completely lateral to kick. I don't think they had the room to punt from their own end zone.
Yeah, Makimanis, I don't think has the ability to just stand up and kick. I think he needs the 5 or 6 yards to kind of get into one here. Mack, patient running, gets taken down by the back of the jersey. That is not a horse collar, despite what the Steelers are contending. A gain of 3 on the play will bring up a 2nd and 7. And was there a penalty? Now there was.
By a letter of the law, Dave, I think that is a horse collar.
Really? By the back of the
by
jersey?
the rear of the jersey.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I thought it had to be.
I don't think you can tackle that way, but
I thought it was only the equipment and not the jersey. I
you
thought the
can't
hair
grab
and the
rear
jersey
of the
are fair
jersey,
game.
I don't believe.
So that's interesting.
That's
Joe.
hard
You
to
could
officiate, though.
Yeah, like what I don't
think
understand.
it's more nameplate. You can't grab around the nameplate.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because you can grab a running back by the hair and take him down by the hair, but the jersey you cannot. I mean, that's tough. 1st down.
Well, if the Steelers manage to score a touchdown here, they could go up by the full breadth of 2 scores. If you're Kuopio, you would all consider going for 2.
To make it 17?
Yeah, because I think 3 scores might put this game away.
Could. I mean, you can certainly insert a dagger, and if you don't get it, it's still 15, and you're still asking Seinäjoki to convert a 2-point conversion. So, yeah, I would consider it heavily. As Mack once again gets stood up at the line of scrimmage. Forward progress might have gotten him a yard, but that's all. And the Crocodiles, again, for their difficulties in this game, have done a good job against Joshua Mack, one of the best running backs in the Maple League this season. As Joe mentioned, averaging just about 7.5 yards per carry this season. Not the case here tonight.
Seinäjoki has given up absolutely nothing between the tackles in the ground game, with the exception of that one huge touchdown run.
Right. 2nd and 10, essentially. Jarman over to the right side. The catch is made inside the 10. Karkanen again with the grab, as coming up is Heikila grabbing at his knee. And the clock will, clock will stop as official timeout here to get some attention to Artu Heikila.
We're going to get a look at this again on replay. They ran this exact same play earlier, and they had a drop on the receiving end. This time they complete, and I thought maybe the receiver rolled up over the knee, but
yeah,
no.
I think so.
He didn't.
I think they went knee to knee at some point.
Okay. Yeah. I thought it could have been much worse where the receiver rolled over the leg and you get some serious knee injuries that way. But no, the receiver did not contact the knee. Heikila's knee just nose dove straight into the turf and hit on an angle that left him immediately grabbing it as soon as that play ended.
And he is one of their better defensive backs as well. Now he's up under his own power, and we can see him trotting off there, exiting left of your screen. So he looks to be okay, but the ball will be spotted here at the 8-yard line. And I think we're looking at a 3rd down and 4, maybe, Joe. I'm not quite sure where the first down stick is, but I think it's in that range. I think the ball was spotted at the 14-yard line. So 3rd down and 4, we'll call it. The give to Mack, positioning inside the tackles. Again, he's going to be just shy of the 5-yard line on forward progress. They want a first down. We'll have to see where they spot it here. And it is a 1st and goal. So the ball's got spotted at the 6. So the original first down marker was at the 16. But 1st and goal for Kuopio here. And 4 downs to gain 6 yards.
How many times have I said this in this game, Dave? That's a gutsy play call. They run it between the tackles. Mack able to make a man miss. Akimanis was right there and could not bring him down behind the line of scrimmage. 1st and goal.
Crocs had a great goal line stand last time. Here comes the option pitch inside the 5. Gets to the pylon. Touchdown. And Kuopio's on the board, and they go up by 15.
It just feels like, Dave, that might be the backbreaker in this game. It's still a 2-score game. Plenty of time left, but Seinäjoki got the ball, went 3 and out. The Steelers immediately block the punt and go straight downfield. They finish this drive, taking it in for the touchdown. And it's been all Kuopio for much of this game. And that's how the 3rd quarter has started. Steelers on the board. They will not go for 2.
Yep, so to answer our question, Sergei Nakano a little bit offside on that play. And maybe now they think about going for 2.
I can't even fathom why you would do that. Now I think you should go for it without a doubt.
Yeah, now you're 1.5 yards closer.
Jarman's asking right now what the decision is.
And Akano, he just did a hurdle there for no inexplicable reason.
I mean, I'm not sure why.
Yeah, you can't do that anyway.
To block this.
Yeah. Well, they are going to kick.
Risk of them going for it, but they'll kick.
It is good. So it's 16-0. So like you mentioned before, the Steelers go up by the full breadth of 2 touchdowns. The Crocodiles to tie will need a couple of touchdowns, a couple of 2-point conversions, or 3 scores, one or the other. And Kuopio in full control here on the road and taking one giant step closer to the regular season championship. Again, they only have 2 games left on their schedule. It's this one and next week in Porvoo. And Joe and I will be there for that game as well.
I think what we're looking at, Dave, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think what we're looking at is a regular season championship game next week if the Steelers hold on to win.
Right.
Because that would be Kuopio's final game. They would clinch the number 1 seed with a win. If the Butchers win, is it a sure thing they win in the final week? No. Is it very likely that they win based on how things have played out this season? Yes. So I think next week's game is very likely for the regular season title.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that one is another short kick towards the sideline. It does travel out of bounds, and we'll see if Seinäjoki will take the ball here and not allow a re-kick. That's what I would do after getting burned by this in the past. And it looks like Seinäjoki is getting their offense on the field and will have it in good field position to start this drive. And yeah, because essentially, Joe, next week, again, if the score holds, you know, Porvoo has to go all out on that last week of the season against the Saints anyway, because a loss to the Saints, you know, if they rest their starters or what have you, they could finish lower in the standings, you know, because of that game, that loss to the Roosters. So, you know, they have to go all out for that game regardless whether they win or lose next week against the Steelers.
Well, a lot can happen in that final week, because if the Steelers win next week, then the pressure is really on the Butchers, because the Roosters with a win next week and a Butchers loss, they're tied in the standings.
Right.
And the Roosters have the tiebreaker, as you mentioned. And, Dave, they did not bring the offense out. They re-kicked.
And they get the ball at where they would have gotten it anyway, at the 35-yard line. So it's all a moot point. You like the ball in Porsche's hands. He really hasn't had it in his hands all that much in this game. So the Seinäjoki really haven't utilized their biggest weapon on offense. It's a credit to Kuopio and how they've handled him as well. But we'll see. The Crocodiles have to get uncorked, and this has to be the drive. You would think that they have to make a statement here after going 3 and out for the third time in the game on their last drive. Fowler, one-step drop, dishes it out to Porsche. Has the lane, drifts in the middle of the field, left hash mark, gets away from another, great block, cuts it inside. The 15, the 10, and first and goal, Seinäjoki coming up.
Well, I mentioned it earlier in the game, Dave. They got a huge first down on the legs of Christopher Fowler when they really needed it. They needed one even more right here, and this offense delivers. Porsche somehow, some way, was able to escape 4 or 5 different Steelers. He had good blocks ahead of him as well. First and goal, Seinäjoki. They're right back in it.
And I'm shocked he's still in the game, because get that guy some oxygen after a play like that. Blomqvist on first and goal goes straight up the heart of the Steelers' defense. He gets 2 on the play. It'll be second and goal from the 8.
Well, I talked about at the start of this third quarter the need for Seinäjoki to sustain drives. They don't need to worry about that right here. Instant goal to go. Now you have to finish a drive. They've only had one chance down here around the end zone. It was not a red zone chance. They were not in the red zone when they attempted that throw. So first red zone opportunity for the Crocs.
On second and goal, the timing pattern slant in the end zone, touchdown. Rantacomi was open. Fowler saw the window, weaved it in nicely, and Seinäjoki draws closer.
You can't ask for any more if you're the Crocodiles, and this has to be a bit deflating for Kuopio. It's not easy to find yourself deflated after you went up 2 scores in the third quarter, but it took less than a minute for the Crocodiles on 2 plays to get down to the goal line. On play number 3, they convert for the touchdown, and they will not go for 2 here.
Yeah, interesting decision here. Monty Malkus, it's down, it's up, it is good, but it remains a 9-point game. 16-7 is our score. Kuopio's 9-point advantage at the half holds up after both teams now exchange a touchdown and an extra point.
And Dave, I have to admit, I am shocked they did not go for 2.
Me too. And again, you figure if you don't get it, then you're down by 10. You know, I don't know how much of a difference that makes here, but again, I guess you don't chase that point this early in the third quarter is the logic, but we'll see how that results later on.
Yeah, from here, a touchdown and a field goal wins the game if you, of course, convert the extra point. So you do have that working in your favor by not risking coming away with just 6. That being said, especially with how that last Steelers drive looked, I want the one-score game.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I would have went for 2 there, but again, I think the only thing that you say to yourself is like, we just had our biggest offensive play of the game. We just had our biggest offensive series. Let's end it with another point. And they go for the onside kick here, and a good job. Left on an island, and making that grab was Juho Wailonen, and makes a good play there.
Well, we're going to look at this again on replay. And if we're correct about the earlier kick, this is the second onside kick attempt by the Crocodiles in this game. One was an onside safety kick. This one a more traditional onside kick, and you know, they did have a chance to recover it. Only one Steeler was in the area.
Right, that's what I mean. Wailonen did a great job there, left on an island to recover that. But still, Joe, I know, I just hate the call. I just hate it.
Well, I do too, but I was trying to play devil's advocate and saying they had a chance.
Well, the defense has done its job for Seinäjoki, and they do it again on Mac there. A gain of only 1 on the play, and it'll be 2nd down and 9 coming up. And again, you have to trust your defense either way, whether it's on a short field or a long field. You have to trust them to hold Kuopio here. But I just think with momentum on your side, you just had a huge, offensive drive. You just landed a right hook, and you just gave the Kuopio Steelers an excuse here to build on their lead. Hate the onside kick call, but let's see if Seinäjoki can come through defensively. Jarman swallowed up. Pointer finished him off. Akano got there first. That's the first sack against Jarman, who now is staying on the turf a little bit longer than Steelers fans would like him to be. As the clock stops, it'll bring up a 3rd and long coming up.
You don't have to worry about field position when you get a pass rush like that, and Jarman immediately grabbing that leg. And you could see it. It got trapped underneath Akano. And Steeler fans now collectively holding their breath as Pointer finished off the sack, as you mentioned, Dave. But
and again,
this game has been so unusual in so many ways. It's almost fitting that the Crocodiles would get the ball right back.
It's 3rd down and 20, and Johan Rabin has to come in because obviously with the clock having stopped to let Jarman out of the game. Now we got Rabin in the game.
This is going to be a handoff, I guess,
on
Dave.
3rd and 20, I would think so, or a pass in the periphery here on the wide receiver screen. Seinäjoki getting some more players in the box. They hold off. Rabin is going to run it, and he's going to be held for another sack. Akano was there. Sadie Jallo was there. 4th down and 22 coming up, and Kuopio goes 3 and out.
Well, considering you didn't recover the onside kick, you couldn't have scripted the drive much better if you're Seinäjoki. The sack sets up 3rd and a mile, and with the injury to Jarman, I'm not sure they really had a play call for that situation outside of try and pick up something. And instead they lost a couple. So now Seinäjoki could get the ball in decent field position, and I couldn't have imagined a punt taking place from here with this drive starting in plus territory.
So Raymond gets a right foot into this one, and it goes, it takes a beautiful bounce, and watching that go into the end zone.
Wow.
Wow is right. That had the potential to be about a 65-yard punt with no return. Instead, it'll be a 1st down and 10 for the Crocodiles at the 20-yard line, and coming off their best offensive series of the game, they'll look to build on it. It was really the one huge play by Porsche that did it, but Seinäjoki really needed that play, and they got it on that last drive. We'll see if they can build on it here.
They are very, very much alive now, Dave. Very much alive, and not much time has gone by in this 3rd quarter either.
No, and we should know better. These games have been wild going down the stretch.
Seinäjoki right back in it.
The give is to Blomqvist. He's looking for the edge. He'll find it. Minimal gain. Gets about 3 or 4 on the play, but it's enough to keep moving forward. It'll be 2nd down and 7 coming up.
Well, Crocodiles have shown a desire to run it on the early downs, and so far they haven't broken off that big one yet. The big run in this game belongs to Fowler, But you just get the sense that eventually, if they stick with it, they'll hit that one big play on the ground.
There's an empty backfield this time, and they work it out into the flat. It's a minimal gain, but working hard for some extra is Peltakongas. He turns that into a quality 5-yard gain. It'll set up a 3rd and 2 coming up.
Well, this is a situation where you would think just about anything is on the table. I like Fowler to run it here. We haven't seen many design runs for him, but I think if there was ever a time to try it, now is that time. You also have numbers along the far side, though the motion takes that away. 3rd and short, huge play here.
Porsche is in the slot, but it will be Fowler to run it. He has the first down and slides after a gain of about 7 or 8.
Well, I love the play call there, and I thought they might get a flag on it as well. Fowler was hit from behind after the slide. We'll pick this one up about halfway through in case the Crocs look to hurry.
Yeah.
We've seen it called before in the Maple League. We've seen it called before.
Yep, it was Christopher Cox who came in from behind, and Fowler argued his case as well, got in the ear of the side judge. But it's going to be 1st and 10 here from the 37-yard line. Fowler looks to his right, thought about running it, now looks wide and looks out and finds his man Yamson. Yamson through some traffic, weaves through a couple of defenders and is inside Kuopio territory, inside the 40 at about the 38-yard line.
If I'm a Steelers fan, Dave, I'm nervous right now because it looks like Fowler's feeling it. This play again broken. He finds a way to buy time. The spy tries to come in and get him, and the man came out of coverage to help as well. That cost them the coverage down the field.
Trips at the top of your screen now. You mentioned it during pregame. When he's on the run, he can make things happen, and here he goes again. Pirouettes to the right. We're going to have a holding call against Seinäjoki coming up. Wide open, touchdown, Porsche. But this one is going to come back, Joe. We saw it from the outset. Kuopio getting held up on the play. How Porsche got that wide open, one will never know. But there was a holding, and this one's coming back.
Yeah, and that's a very obvious hold and a very consequential hold. Every once in a while, there'll be a holding call in a spot like that. That really doesn't seem to make much of a difference. That one made a huge difference and likely prevented a sack. So I think if there was ever a hold that needed to be flagged, it was that one, and I think that takes just a bit of steam out of Seinäjoki here because you could see it, Dave. Fowler playing with a confidence and that dynamic playmaking ability outside the pocket. I would be more than a bit concerned if I was Kuopio after that last couple of plays.
1st down and 20 as a result. Montreal Lee gets called for the holding call. Blomqvist up the middle, tries to get some breathing room and gets a good chunk back, but it'll be about a 2nd down and a 14-15, and now we have another flag down. Kuopio pointing in the direction of the Crocodiles, but that flag came in the secondary.
The official making the call here. It's a personal foul against Seinäjoki. So
yeah,
they're going
and it's against Lee again. Joe, it's against Montreal Lee again, number 77, as he, after the play, continued his block and drove the Kuopio player to the ground. And it happened right where the flag is down. Take a look at number 77 going down the field.
That is not much, Dave.
It's not much. He's finishing off his block, but
yeah, that's hardly anything.
Yeah,
I don't like that
it either.
call.
Yeah.
Now, if the defensive player is on his feet and you throw him to the ground, okay, I could see that. But to call that against a player for keeping a player on the ground, I'm not for that. Not at all.
Yeah, and it looked like it happened simultaneously with the whistle being blown too. So it wasn't like it was excessively after the whistle, but it's going to be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. So, man, oh man, we're looking, wow, it's a 15-yard, oh yeah, it's a 15-yard penalty, right? So I'm going to do some mental math here. The 1st down mark is at the 28, so we're looking at 22 plus, it was 1st and 30.
Well, 2nd and 30.
2nd and 30, yeah, was the result of the play, right? And the fans don't like it. We can hear the boo birds coming out.
I didn't like it.
Joe, you can boo with them. We'll get 4 wide receivers, the right side. 3 wide on the right side. 2nd down and 30. And they do wing it out towards the sideline. Nothing there. A little bit of contact there. Portia and Stefan were locked up, but it's going to be a 3rd and 30 coming up. And this is going to be tough here.
We had a 3rd and 32 converted a couple of weeks ago.
That was the Giants game, right?
It was in the Giants-Roosters game.
Yeah. Not much in the playbook for this down. 3rd and 30. Try to hang it up somewhere or hope for a defensive foul here in this scenario. There is a flag, and it will not be a free play. It was against the offense.
They were going to throw for it, Dave.
Yeah. 3rd and 35 coming up.
Well, for a team that came in the least penalized among teams that have clinched their playoff spot, it's been a nightmare of a game.
Yeah.
Very uncharacteristic of the Crocodiles. We haven't seen a game like this from them this season.
Yeah, and 35 yards. Obviously, 25 yards of penalties on this drive alone. It did negate a touchdown. Of course, the touchdown, a big part of it was because of that holding call, but took points off the board. Fowler in trouble, dancing out of a couple of dangerous spots here, but exercising some instructions down the field, but that one's thrown out in the direction of Yamson. So 4th down, and Seinäjoki will bring the punting unit on.
Well, considering how that play started, I'll take that ending if I'm Seinäjoki, because if he doesn't get a throw off on this play, he can't ground it here. He's in the tackle box, so he has to at least escape the pocket. I don't know if he was going to have any chance of getting it back to the line of scrimmage if he didn't get moving upfield. So I think Fowler made the most out of a really bad situation there, and at the very least, didn't lose any more.
This has been eventful, but Makimaunis gets that one off, and it is a very, very good punt. As that one's still traveling, it will get saved. It hits the pylon, though. How unlucky was that? After making a great play to get to that ball was Aurelian Germany, but he punched it right into the pylon, so this will be a touchback here. Still a decent kick, and the Crocodiles defense will need a stop here. Down by 9. They have the Steelers pinned back pretty deep.
Well, if you told Seinäjoki, given where they were punting from, that the result would be a touchback, you would take that in a heartbeat. They very nearly punted that one out of bounds and saved it short of the goal line to force Kuopio to start at the 1. So you can't do much better than that. They had the opportunity to force it out at the 1, couldn't quite get there, but you'll take this all day long, especially with the way your defense has played if you're the Crocodiles.
So following a 3 and out for Kuopio on their last drive, they get the ball back here. That one spun out into the periphery, and going ahead for about 5 yards was Marshall after getting tripped up there on the play by Topola. But a good healthy gain of 4 yards on 1st down.
That's a good tackle by Topola as well, because if he doesn't make that tackle, that play goes for a bit more.
Yeah, he's made a couple of really good open field tackles in this game. So here we go, 2nd down and 6. Quick snap, and now they go out to the other side, back in open space. Gets a little closer, draws nearer to the 1st down marker. He'll be about a yard and a half short. It'll be a 3rd down coming up.
Well, we did neglect to note Jarman is back in the game, so that's something.
That's right. Yep.
That's a big positive as well if you're a Kuopio. And now on 3rd and 2, I think your entire playbook is open here. I really like the option in this spot, Dave. I liked it when the Crocodiles ran with Fowler on their 3rd down. I think the most effective running plays for Kuopio have been those option plays. I think you go to it here on 3rd and short.
Tight end over on the right-hand side of the offensive line. That's where Mack is stationed as well, looking for some room, and he's going to get bottled up, and he will not get the 1st down. And Seinäjoki has been terrific between the tackles. You mentioned it time and again, Joe. 4th down and 1 coming up, and a huge decision will bring the punting unit out here for the Steelers.
The only word I can think of to call the Steelers with their insistence on running between the tackles on 3rd and short is stubborn. I can't fathom why they keep doing it, Dave. I just can't.
Yeah.
Why are they trying to continue to attack this defense between the tackles on 3rd and short. It has not worked all game.
Yeah,
on the goal line,
brilliant.
Anywhere on the field, I just don't get it.
Again, with the exception of that touchdown, they have been aces in the middle. There's a good punt the other way here. Running into it and muffing it were the Seinäjoki Crocodiles. That was Portia who lost it, and the Steelers look like they have it. There's a scrum at the bottom of this all. They are still working it out.
I thought Kuopio had it, Dave. We're going to look at the back end of this play very quickly before they make a ruling.
The way they are peeling things off, it looks like Seinäjoki got it back. Wow.
Got on top of it.
Portia.
Based on this replay, I'm not sure that's what I saw.
Well, somewhere in the bottom of that pile, Portia was able to wrestle it back. And, you know, it's interesting because Portia was the one who muffed it, and it looked like he got just a late break on the ball. He just started running into it way too late. Maybe he felt Marshall on top of him, but again, for the second time, Seinäjoki avoids disaster on a punt return. And they have a chance again. They're down by 9. We're still in the third quarter. We have to believe we're in the later stages here. Fowler, one-step drop, punches it to Portia, gain of 3 yards, and now the whistles blow as Portia has a trio on top of him.
And they've been so conservative on their kick returns and so aggressive on the punts.
Right, it's a good point.
I mean, they've called for a couple of fair catches. You mentioned one was on a shorter pooch kick, but one was with plenty of room to run. And on the punts, they've been screaming after those footballs.
Yeah. 2nd and 7. Blomqvist to the left of Fowler. Fowler again, a one-step drop, in trouble. Starts to dance in the pocket. Makes a one-man miss, still alive in the pocket, and can't get away from the third wave. And finally, after it all, Damian Lowry sacks Fowler for about a 7-yard loss.
Yeah, he got a bit too greedy there, Dave. I thought he was going to find a way to escape. I have to admit, as this play was developing, I thought for sure he was going to find a way out of it, as I believe we've reached the end of the third quarter, but not so this time. After a long effort to try and get away from several Steelers, he's finally brought down well behind the line of scrimmage. And I say it all the time, Dave, when you're outside of the tackle box, you have to throw that ball away if given the chance, and he had more than a chance there. He had no less than 15 seconds to throw it away.
Yeah, and there's really, I'm trying to look down the field, too, to see if he has any options, and there's really nothing going on underneath, but you're right, he has to get rid of that ball, and I think the end of this quarter is actually a big positive for Seinäjoki, because after a play like that, your receivers are kind of gassed as well, because they're going, you know, left to right, trying to keep up with what Fowler is doing, trying to be an option for him. That this is a welcome break here, and on 3rd down and very long, looks like about 14 to go on this play, maybe a little bit less. It's like a 3rd and 12 or so. You know, they have to think about picking this one up here, down by 9 in the 4th quarter. Remember, these are only 12-minute quarters in the Maple League. They're going to need a play here.
Now, how much would you have to get to maybe think about going for it? Or would you not think about it no matter what?
I would think about it. I would think about it because your defense has played well. I mean, credits and hats off to Seinäjoki's defense. They have played well in this game. And I think at this point, you know, the way your offense is played, you're going to need every drive here to kind of chip away. But again, this play makes a big difference.
And there's only one reason you have to think about it, and it's because you didn't go for 2.
Yeah. Yeah, fair point.
If you can't tell, I didn't like it.
No, neither did I. All right. 3rd down and 12. This time, very good time for Fowler. He drifts off to his left. Fakes, pumps, is going to try to get it with his legs and won't. Good tackle from behind at the shoelaces by Christopher Cox, and a turnover on down. A 3 and out for Seinäjoki. Spearheaded by, of course, the big sack on that drive. Forces a 4th down situation, and the punt unit will come on.
They can't sustain a drive, Dave. They had the one big play that led to the touchdown, and outside of that, I don't believe they've had a drive with more than 2 first downs. Right. I think their scoring drive was 2 first downs, maybe 3, but it wasn't any more than that.
There's another line drive kick. a screwball that ends up at the 20-yard line. Trying to get out of trouble was Mack. Mack bounces out of one. He's going backwards here. Can he get back? Oh, man, a big shot by Steffen is going to draw a flag. Mack is roped out of bounds at about the 42-yard line. But I'm going to see it on real time on the YouTube feed. But Lars Steffen against the defenseless player gets called.
Well, by my estimation, Mack should have went down long before that penalty occurred. He probably gave up about 10 or 15 yards running backwards. Let's see.
Yeah.
He fielded it at the 20. How far back did he go? He got as far back as the 7. So he ran backwards about 13 yards, and then the penalty, which occurred at the 15. So I think when this is all said and done, running backwards probably is going to cost them anywhere from 10 to 15 yards.
Yeah, well, Steffen got penalized and laid that hit out at about the 15, so it'll be half the distance from there. So you have to imagine this ball's going to get spotted at about the 8-yard line. Yeah, and that's exactly where they've spotted it. So 1st and 10 for Kuopio at the 8. We've only had a couple of plays run in this 4th quarter, so a majority of it obviously still on the clock. Jarman in the flat to Marshall. Marshall with a lane and with speed at the 50, the 40. Marshall finally taken down at the 30-yard line. A 62-yard catch and run for Marshall.
And Dave, I thought he had touchdown number 12 on the season right here. It's a routine screen play, and that slot corner trying to get around the block by the outside receiver just could not get there in time to keep Marshall from breaking free. Marshall showing off the Jets there, streaking up that sideline. I thought he was gone, but they do push him out of bounds, force him down. Kuopio with it at the 30. Keep in mind, a field goal here doesn't do you too much good. It makes it a 12-point game.
A great block by Nicholas Kuika on that play like you referenced. There's one that's thrown up and is caught inside the 10 by Kuika. We just mentioned his name with the great block on that play, the 62-yard screen and run, and Kuika puts them in business, 1st and goal.
That's a tremendous back shoulder throw here by Jarman. I mean, the defensive back doesn't have his head turned toward the football, which makes that a bit easier given the small window, but that is a perfect ball. And the Steelers now are set up with goal to go, I believe. Indeed it is.
Yeah. 62 yards on 2 plays ago. That one went for 23. Jarman underneath to Mack. Mack spins it towards the right sideline and gets forced out of bounds at about the 6 or 7. So minimal gain there, maybe 1 on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Well, if you're the Steelers here and you come away with points, the Crocodiles need 2 touchdowns, and I think that may be good enough at this point in the game, especially if some more time comes off the clock before you score. That being said, I always talk about it. You play to win. You don't play to avoid losing, and I think a touchdown here certainly is the decisive blow.
That's huge. Huge couple of plays upcoming. 2nd down and goal from the 7-yard line. Jarman looking, corner of the end zone, incomplete. Nice defensive play that time by Ristamaki to break it up there. Kuika was the intended receiver. It'll be 3rd and goal.
They had a look that earlier in the game, Jarman dealt a precision pass on that out-breaking route toward the sideline, coupled with the rollout by Jarman. And this time the coverage a bit tighter. It's broken up, and that will bring up 3rd and goal. And Dave, I'm almost inclined to say, if you don't get this, maybe you go for it, because if you don't get it on 4th down, Seinäjoki is starting all the way back against their own end zone.
Yeah, it's fair to think about here, but this play will be the judge. They give underneath, but Mack looking for the corner, and on a second effort, he reaches the pylon. Did he go out of bounds beforehand? He did at the 2-yard line. He reached out at the last second, and the ball may have hit the pylon, but he is short, Joe, and here we go. Here's the decision, 4th and goal from the 2-yard line. What do they do?
I go for this, without a doubt. there's more of a disaster that could come from a botched field goal attempt or a snap. I wouldn't even think about the kick. Not for a second.
Joe, I have lost my signal here.
Your signal to the feed or to me?
Yeah, no, to the feed.
All right, well, it's fortunate for you that a timeout was just called.
All right.
So what we're going to do is step off headset for just a moment. When we come back, this drive resumes on 4th and goal. The Steelers lead the Crocodiles 16-7 with a chance for more on 4th down.
We're back here, live action on 4th down and goal. They do decide to go, and scampering in for the touchdown is Joshua Mack. Patient running, and they converted for 6 points. And the Steelers make it hurt on 4th down.
Here's one more look at it, Dave. Back just in time for that 4th down snap, and it is Joshua Mack finding the end zone for Kuopio. A good block on the edge, and Mack's going to win that foot race to the pylon. He's in for 6. It's a 15-point lead. They will kick to make it 16 once again. And the Steelers now ahead by 2 touchdowns with a chance to make it the full breadth of 2 touchdowns, firmly in control.
And again, Akano decides to hurdle it up and get in a little bit early, trying to time it the right way. And once he realized he didn't have the timing, he jumps over center. And the Steelers now with a huge, control of this game here. About to go up by potentially 16. The extra point is good. And we have a 23-7 ball game.
Well, I think with the lead being the full breadth of 2 touchdowns, if you're Kuopio, you feel a lot more comfortable now, but Seinäjoki in this game put together one quality drive now in 3 quarters plus. And this game is not over. It's still a 2-score game, but if you're the Crocodiles and you don't score again, it's the second time in 4 games that you've scored 7 points or less, and the 3rd time in 4 games that you've lost. 2 straight against this Steelers team, a team that you're very likely to see again in the postseason if you have Maple Bowl aspirations. So this is a really concerning score right now. And again, the game's not over, but I think the level of concern in Seinäjoki raises significantly if things don't change drastically in these final minutes.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Joe, 100%, because even on that 1 touchdown drive, if you want to call it a drive, it was really one huge play. Porsche with the catch and run off the slant that went for, 60-plus yards and put them in goal-to-goal territory. I mean, without that play, you've mentioned it quite a number of times. They've done 1 or 2 decent things each drive, but they really haven't been able to string the 4, 5, and 6 plays together all in one shot. So, even that one good drive, you got to take it with a grain of salt a little bit, because it really wasn't much of a drive. It was more like one huge play and then enough to get in the end zone.
Yeah, it was a 3-play drive.
Yeah.
And I think the curious aspect of Seinäjoki's play calling in this game is how often they've looked to throw it deep down the field.
And there's a quick slant that, not on the same page. Again, Christopher Cox was the only man in the area. Porsche was the intended receiver, 2nd and 10. But yeah, that's part of it too, Joe, because one of the things that I really liked about Seinäjoki when we saw them twice earlier in the season was the way they mixed it up, the way they kind of kept you off balance with their play calling, and I don't feel like that was the case in this game through 3.5 quarters, as that one is up towards the sideline and complete in the direction of Peltacongas, 3rd and 10.
Well, they've attempted 2 quick passes here, and those haven't worked, but I'm inclined to ask the question, is the attempts downfield that we've seen in this game a product of the play calling or a product of the quarterback's decision-making? Because it seems like on a lot of those plays there were open receivers underneath, and instead Fowler chose to throw it downfield.
Yeah. 3rd down and 10. Now they work it towards the hash mark, and elevating but unable to make the catch was Rantakomi, who's had a big game as well. He's a big target, but he had to elevate for that one. Incomplete, and now on 4th and 10. I don't believe the Crocodiles have much of a choice, but indeed they are going to bring out the punting unit.
Yeah, I didn't think you had a choice here, Dave, but they are going to punt and hope for a big play from their defense once again. Maybe they try a fake here. I wouldn't rule that out. I don't know what happened earlier. It was very unusual. I don't believe that was a fake, but it's something to keep in mind.
Kick is one that takes a Crocodiles bounce again, and Mack was closing in on that, but getting to it first was Salama, and he's able to step out of the 14-yard line, so that's where Kuopio will take over. But for Seinäjoki in this game, Joe, here have been their drives. They went 3 and out and they punted. They went 3 and out and they punted. They went 3 and out and gave up a safety. They picked up 1 first down and they punted. They then turned the ball over on downs, and then they had the half. And then to second half, 3 and out, punted. Touchdown drive. They punted after picking up a first down or 2, a 3 and out and punted, a 3 and out and punted. So really, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 3 and outs in this game.
And 1 3-play touchdown drive.
Correct.
It's a lot of 3-play drives.
Yeah.
And it's something we haven't said about this Seinäjoki offense all season, but I think it's fair to describe this game as miserable. And I think the reason why isn't necessarily the point total or the 3 and outs, but combine that with the penalties and the effort of your defense, which in this game has been great. Their defense in the second half, not as strong as the first half, but it's been a good game for them defensively overall. You can't fault the defense for a lot of the field position they've been forced to defend in.
Again, the give is to Mack. This time he tries to stretch it out towards the right side and is able to pull forward for a gain of about 3 yards on the play, gets him 3 yards closer to make it a 3rd down and 3 coming up. But yeah, you know, the other thing about the Crocodiles offense too, Joe, is they seemed really rushed in this game as well. And I know they're trying to play with tempo, and I know they're trying to play, you know, with a frenetic pace a little bit, but I just think if they would just take their time a little bit, you know, just huddle up, make sure you know where you are. I just feel like everything is rushed. And they haven't just had the ball all that much either. The defense has been on the field a lot.
I'm diagnosing their issue, Dave, except they can't run the ball.
Yeah, it's a good point. 3rd down and 3, and now Kuika with the catch. Will it be enough for a first down? Looks like it will be. Yeah, the first down marker was at the 24. That's at the 26, so they'll move the sticks here. Kuopio will be able to bleed the clock a little bit more. You see, like, they're not in a rush. They don't
Why
need
would
to
they be?
Yeah, exactly.
But if I'm diagnosing the issue for Seinäjoki, trying to keep it as simple as possible, it's that they just haven't run the ball well at all.
Yeah.
They've been unable to pick up big plays on the ground that aren't their quarterback turning a broken play into a scramble drill. Right. And when a defense knows that you're not a threat to break off big plays on the ground, it changes the game.
The option to Mack now, right side. He does go out of bounds, which actually they'll keep the clock running here, but a quality gain of about 5 yards on that play, and so we'll have a 2nd and 5 coming up.
Well, I like that play call a lot, Dave. You know how much of a fan I am of the speed option when you have the personnel to run it. But had they done that on 3rd and short a couple of times, this could be a 3 or a 4 score game, because if you're looking at what the Steelers did well in this game, there's a lot they did well. They played great defense. They put together some quality drives. I think for them, the issue early was finishing drives, and a lot of that came down to short yardage situations. They just didn't seem to have the play calls they needed in those big spots on 3rd and short and 4th and short.
This time Jarman looks towards the sideline the other way, and Kuika makes the catch, sits down again in the zone in Seinäjoki territory, and the first down moves the ball to the Seinäjoki 48-yard line. Good look that time by Jarman to Kuika.
You had to be thinking the same thing I was when that ball came out of his hand, and that was, oh boy, I thought it was headed toward Marshall, who was double-teamed, and instead it sails right over him to Kuika, who was wide open.
Yeah, that levels concept has worked, especially on that side. And Kuika has been open a couple times, sitting in between the high and the low zone there and makes another good catch. Ball spotted at the 49-yard line of Seinäjoki. 1st and 10 for Kuopio. Drive started at their own 14. That time in the flat to Marshall. Made one man miss, but's able to pull forward for a gain of about 5.
Well, they've done a great job keeping their offensive attack varied. And you mentioned that about Seinäjoki. Something we liked that we've seen from them was their ability to keep defenses guessing. That's been Kuopio in this game.
Right.
They've incorporated the screen game, throwing downfield, moving the pocket, running the football, the option game. There's not much that the Steelers haven't showed us at least once in this game. And when you're on the other side of that as a defense and you're left guessing, it makes your job a lot more difficult. And that's, a credit to what the Crocodiles did in the first half. They allowed just the 9 points, 2 coming on the safety.
And that one's deflected and tipped up, and nearly coming down with it was Akano, who got the tip and then doubled back and tried to make the catch. But it'll be 3rd down and 5 coming up. And, we should mention, Joe, we haven't mentioned it yet, that these two teams have played each other in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Both years they've played in Kuopio. Both years, Kuopio has won the regular season meeting, or meetings, plural, and both times Seinäjoki has defeated Kuopio on the road in the playoffs. So keep that in mind and keep that in the back pocket too if these two teams should meet again. Blown up in the backfield was Jarman, but the successful pitch over to Mack. Mack makes a couple of guys miss. Now he's working towards the right side, bumped into his own man and came down inside the 20-yard line, but a healthy gain by Joshua Mack.
Well, that will help his yards per carry average. The Crocodiles have done a great job limiting him in this game. He finally breaks through, and wouldn't you know it, Dave, it's on an option play. And that's been the most dynamic running play all game. I'm shocked we didn't see it in some of those short yardage situations, but we do see it here, and once again it works to perfection. Steelers threatening to score again, but you mentioned the success for Seinäjoki against the Steelers in the postseason, and a couple of weeks ago I said on the air that I think when you look at these teams throughout the Maple League, the Steelers right now are probably the best team all around in terms of their performance on both sides of the ball. I think their yards allowed per game defensively is a bit deceiving. They played a relatively tough schedule this year. They've already played the Crocodiles twice now. They've already faced the Butchers and the Roosters. So I think what the Steelers have done, you can trust it in a big way, and I think arguably their worst effort of the season came in week 1. So I think it's easiest to discount that kind of effort. And keep in mind as well, they're on the verge now of winning their 5th straight game. That's something else to keep in mind for this Kuopio team. They're in a position right now where they could enter the postseason red hot. I'd like them to win this game. I'm more hesitant to say I like them to win again next week, but I certainly can't wait for that game. It should be a Game of the Year candidate. The first meeting between Kuopio and Porvoo was, for lack of more colorful language, exhilarating. I don't know if I can do much better than that. I can't wait to see those two teams go at it again next week.
Yeah, Kuopio had a 14-point lead with 3 minutes to go in that game, and Porvoo scores 15 points in the final 3 minutes to win that game by 1. That was early in the season, a game we had here on PDF, and we'll have round 2 next week. Joshua Mack this time following the timeout goes up the middle. Not much there, maybe a gain of 1, perhaps 2, but that's all. And last year, during the regular season, we carried Porvoo versus Kuopio. That was a 5-point win by Porvoo in a game that went back and forth, 42-37. And, you and I kind of selfishly, Joe, hoped that maybe those two teams would meet in the championship game to set up kind of a rematch here on PDF. It didn't happen because Seinäjoki had that amazing win in the playoffs over Kuopio. So, that could also be a playoff preview next week as well. Underneath, Mack gets met again by Tapola for very minimal yards, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and long coming up.
And you're okay with that. If you're the Steelers, you keep the clock moving. A field goal would make it a 3-score game. Whether or not they would kick remains to be seen. But the Steelers in firm control. And I think if you're the Crocodiles, you have the Royals next week. you would hope that you can get right in that game. The Royals have struggled. You won handily last time you faced them. It won't matter in terms of making the playoffs, but it just feels like they're going to need a win in their last game against the Roosters to feel good about where they are.
Absolutely. The first down marker's at the 12-yard line, but Jarman's going to the end zone, and that one's elevated and out of the back of the end zone, incomplete. So we'll see a 4th and 6, and we'll see if the Steelers bring out the field goal unit here to try and make this a 3-score game, a true 3-score game. It looks like that's what they'll do.
And I'm curious to see how they execute on the field goal attempt. They've had no issues on the extra point so far in this game, but those, of course, are a bit closer. This one probably from about, what would you say, another 10 to 12 yards out based on where they are.
So it's a 30-yard field goal here. It's about
10.
Yeah. And, you know, I think this is going to be a part of what's going to be really important in the playoffs, Joe, is special teams and the kicking game and field goals and extra points. I mean, we say it all the time. We don't talk about it a lot during pre-games when we break the games down, but they mean a lot as this one is through the uprights and good. So Sirianen's perfect today, and he gives them a 19-point lead. 26-7 is now our score, and in the dying moments of this game now, it would appear that the Steelers have taken one giant step closer to the number 1 seed. And for the Crocodiles, doesn't look like one of the top 2 seeds is in the cards following a 4-0 start to the season. They are going to drop now. They're for the third time in 4 games.
Yeah, I said during the pregame that I think it would have been wrong to sound the alarm bells in Seinäjoki, even though they're 1-2 in their last 3 games. They lost a wet weather game to the Butchers. It was a sloppy game, a low-scoring game, much like this game started, and effectively it still is a low-scoring game relative to what we've seen this year. But that loss to the Butchers didn't concern me that much. They took care of business against the Royals, and then they lose to the Steelers in a very close game last week. I don't think I looked at either of those 2 losses and said, boy, I'm concerned about this team and what they can do moving forward in terms of making a deep run into the playoffs and appearing in the Maple Bowl again. Now, after this game, I am very concerned because it seems like this team took multiple steps backwards this week.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that at this stage of the season, you want to see teams improving with every week, getting better with every week, being at their best going into the playoffs. This was not a good performance by Seinäjoki today, and I don't know if it's just a question of the Steelers have been that much better as far as the improvement that we've seen from them since week 3, but it just looked like Seinäjoki just doesn't look like the same type of team that we saw earlier in the season. They look frazzled, they look frenetic, they look unpolished, they look, I don't want to say scared, but almost like they've been taken out of their element. They're not playing within themselves, and that's strange to me. And again, we're not going to see them again until the last game of the season when they play the Roosters, and that might have a lot of implications, especially for the Roosters, and they're still involved in maybe the number 2 seed as well. Seinäjoki still has a chance for the number 2 seed, but it's not going to be likely for them. A lot going on the line as Blomqvist is able to turn up the field and get a first down. Probably the longest run of the game for Blomqvist. It goes for 11 yards.
Easily.
Yeah.
And to me, I mentioned that Seinäjoki hasn't run the ball well in this game, but that's obvious just watching this one. Outside of the scrambles by Fowler, they haven't done much on the ground. Not much through the air either outside of that one big play. But my takeaway from this game is, shockingly, here's the big run.
Right on cue.
Jinx, I guess.
Right on cue.
It never fails.
Yep.
But I think my takeaway watching them play in this game, which is shocking to me, this seems like a team that has no offensive identity, which is very odd.
Yeah. And I think part of their identity was keeping teams off balance, and Fowler gives himself up after that fake draw. Quarterback keeper was blown up, and that'll go for a loss of 2. And And even now, Joe, you're down by 19. I mean, the game is essentially over. It's the 2-minute warning. You're not going to score 3 times. But, the Seinäjoki Crocodiles have just, they're running the football and they're looking to wear out this game and go home and, go back into the locker room and just call it a day. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they showed up today. I mean, especially offensively, it just seemed like they just weren't in a position where they felt they were going to win this game at any point of the game. It just kind of reads that way.
Yeah, like I said, Dave, this game, if I'm a fan of Seinäjoki, I'm deeply concerned. Deeply concerned.
3rd down and 9. Fowler looks right, looks left, steps up in the pocket, now fumbles on the way down. It's scooped up, and after a bounce, Christopher Cox is on his feet, and he is gone. Touchdown, Kuopio Steelers defensively. And Cox comes up with a lame hamstring after all that, maybe. I don't
think so, Dave. That's a celebration.
Celebrations are getting crazier and crazier, but the scoop and score touchdown for Christopher Cox. And I don't know, was there something called here, Joe, up the field? Because no one seems to be happy for Cox down on the other end.
Yeah, the officials are talking it over. So
that maybe Fowler was in the grasp, you think?
No way he was in the grasp, at least not in my opinion, but this has turned into a complete disaster for Seinäjoki.
Personal foul against Kuopio, probably on the celebration.
Yeah.
I think the touchdown will count. And Kuopio, which scored defensively on a safety, which was really gifted to them, now come out with a touchdown and have blown this game wide open as we get the official call coming in here. We didn't get the signal for a touchdown. We got a 1st down. So I think they took the touchdown off the board, Joe.
Okay. They took it off for an unsportsmanlike conduct?
Yeah. And now another one. As going back to the huddle was Joshua Mack, and I think he said something to the official as he passed him by, and the official immediately threw another flag.
Let's see if we can spot it. And you have to be careful here. You don't want to end up being disciplined for this if you're the Steelers.
Yeah, Mack was taunting one of the Seinäjoki players. He kind of waved at him. And that's what prompted
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I don't know. You probably just saw it, right?
I did.
Yeah.
That is so soft. Come on. We're grown men here.
Yep. Yeah, I'm getting another chance to see the...
that's nothing.
Yeah. Unless there was colorful language, who knows, but...
True. I always say you never know what was said. But if the flag was thrown just for that hand motion, that is as soft as it gets.
Right.
The game could do without that.
Well, they're exchanging pleasantries now as Kuopio took a knee, and in a game in which they got off to a slow start, it was 0-0 after a quarter, 9-0 after the first half, but Kuopio put the great finishing touches on this one, a 17-point second half, and they win it rather easily against the Crocodiles tonight, 26-7. Cause for concern in Seinäjoki, perhaps, but for Kuopio, one step closer to a Maple League regular season championship.
Well, for me, Dave, it's cause for concern in Seinäjoki, abso-freaking-lutely, because it's only a 19-point loss, which isn't a good result, but the way they lost this game was just about as ugly as it gets. And I think Seinäjoki has major cause for concern. You have what many might consider a get-right game against a tough Royals defense next week. You did put up 31 against them last time you faced them, so you have that working in your favor. But watching this game, as I said before, my takeaway, this team needs to find themselves again offensively, because this does not look like the dynamic team that we saw several weeks ago against the Butchers, and the team that many fans in Finland saw en route to last week against the same Steelers team. It's really shocking, and I think we've talked a lot about how the Seinäjoki defense did well to keep them in this game, but give credit to the Kuopio defense. They allowed just 7 points in this game, and for a defense that came in allowing around, I said 400 mistakenly, it was closer to 350 yards per game that this Steelers defense has allowed this season. They were far better than that and then some today. It really was an impressive all-around effort for Kuopio.
Absolutely, and we will carry Kuopio again next weekend when they play the Porvoo Butchers, a chance to lock up the regular season championship and the #1 seed. Porvoo still in the running for that as well. So essentially, it will be a game for the regular season championship with just about all that on the line. A special day for us. It'll be a Friday night game for us as those two teams will play on Friday over Saturday. So look for that as well. We'll get you an exact start time earlier or later this week. And, we're getting towards the end, Joe. We know what the 4 playoff teams will be. Now it's a question of positioning, and we've said it from the beginning. The playoffs are wide open, but Kuopio taking a few more steps, advancing over Seinäjoki. They were good today. We expect a great one next week.
For sure, and I think in terms of where Seinäjoki stands now, I think they are very likely out of contention for a top 2 seed. We mentioned that earlier. Kuopio plays for the regular season title next week, and I think something else to watch in the game next week outside of the matchup, which is almost sure to be great. The Helsinki Roosters are pulling for the Kuopio Steelers next week, because if the Steelers win next week, of course they're the 1 seed, the Butchers pick up their 3rd loss, and all of a sudden the Roosters, who were on the fringe of a playoff spot, we were questioning whether or not they would make it there. They will have a chance to play for the #2 seed should they win next week in the final week. So if they win next week and the Butchers lose, the Roosters are playing for the #2 seed in the final week of the regular season.
Not bad for a team that started 0-3 in a 10-game regular season. That's pretty good. But that'll do it for us for tonight at least, and for this weekend of Maple League football. For my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman, I'm David Pizzuto, wishing you a great rest of the evening, a great rest of the weekend. Once again, next week, Friday night, Kuopio against Porvoo. We hope you'll join us for more continuing PDF Maple League Game of the Week action. Good night, everybody.